That's not bad either.
Okay, it's 7:03. I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Let's go ahead and do roll call. Deb McIsaac, Mayor, John Hughes,
City Attorney Brian Reedy, Ward 2.
Nikki Oyen, Ward 1.
Ryan Sending Ward 2.
Karen Sure, Ward 1.
all present and accountable. Let's go ahead and do the pledge of allegiance.
You like that?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have a little misprint in here in if you put public time in, so we're just gonna do public time right this second for anybody that wants it. How about that? Taking mayoral privileges. Can I do that, guys? Is that all right? We wrote it in invisible ink.
Fun.
Get some lemon, then Franklin. Anybody? I said,
I just want to thank all the council members that came last night to the community garden fundraiser down at school. Wasn't a big crowd, but we saw you. And we appreciate it.
and y'all missed out on some really good pulled pork sandwiches. by the
It
way.
was great.
Really, really
Thank
good
you for
sandwiches.
coming in and showing your support.
Well, and thank you for the rhubarb jam that was on my toast this morning. So, and there was a free will offering for baked goods. So is there any left over? And can they get them anywhere or?
I imagine there might be, that'd be a good question
So,
for Sally.
Let's just say that if anybody is super sad that they missed out on the baked goods and the fundraiser for the community garden, please get a hold of Sally Franchuk. And she can probably let you know if there's anything left or not, because I gotta tell you that rhubarb jam was rivaling my great grandma's. That was pretty good stuff. So there's that. Okay, anything else on public time? Okay, let's go ahead and look at the approval of the minutes. We've been in 16. Looks like that's in yellow. Any feedback, please?
The only question I have is we had, during claims, we had voted to end the contract with Rastec.
Yes, and I had to do some research on that because we wanted to triple check before we stopped that contract if we had everything we needed. So we have a quote from Rastec that it will take $205 to physically copy what they are saving to an external hard drive. So we have it for sure. So that was something I was gonna bring up. So you beat me to the punch. So, if you guys want to approve $205 for me to go to Rastec and get that, that would be great. And if not, then we'll never know what it is they have. Or we can keep paying them. It's up to you.
So we're paying them $35 a month currently to store whatever we have there.
Correct.
It's $200 to get it.
To get it and keep it and have it.
Okay. I think that's a no-brainer. I don't know if you really even need our.
I didn't think, I just wanted to let you know what I was doing. So, next month when you see a 200, they probably have to put tax on it too, I imagine. So it's gonna be just a little over 200. You'll know what that's for.
Okay, I just, I was just saying, I didn't see the actual vote on the minutes. Relating to that, so I don't know if that was something that didn't even vote on or not.
Yep, we voted to cease it, but then we only asked, we found out there would be a cost to fully secure.
Okay.
So upon advisement, it was advised to secure what they have for sure. Cool.
Is the direct technology amount gonna fluctuate every month?
Yes, it is at this time, because right now we're looking at, until we get like even keel of what we're doing with our licenses and making sure that our Fortinet is, they did an on-site visit to activate our wireless back here. So hopefully our internet will actually work now. And so they did some stops that were above and beyond our contract to make sure that we're running. So yeah, there's gonna be a little bit of fluctuating, not anything massive. And then once we get the licenses worked out, it should be pretty standard month over month, right?
And they replaced some equipment.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We had a hard drive burnout. That was neat. So, huh? We lost nothing because we have backups, but he said that isn't something you want to wait on. And so we had him come down and replace it right away. And while they were here, we're like, well, we have a honey-do list for you. And so we've had them do all the things that we were having trouble with since they were standing in the room.
I'll make a motion to approve the January 16th minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not writing and I should be. So Travis is the first. You got a second. You had a race.
Ryan got the second.
And that's all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now we move on to January 16th.
22nd.
Sorry, January 22nd.
Yep.
I didn't put a check next to it, so I said it again.
Not seeing anything on that one.
I didn't either.
Motion to approve.
He's there.
Second.
Consistent.
She's not listening.
Okay,
I'm gonna back bring this up.
I could.
So, any questions? I'm sorry about that.
You got a first and a second.
Oh, good, we did that, please. I'm sorry.
Travis first, Mickey second.
Thank you, sorry.
This
The city, and we had a very important conversation about grammar over here, so,
Yeah, I see that.
okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. So then we have claims payable. And you'll notice that there's a couple line items in bold, and what that was is as we are now implementing DWorks, Lacey Branham is taking on the arduous task of learning new systems, and so there were some payables that came in a little bit later from the time that she had to print. And so that's where these are, and that's what the bold are, and that's gonna be different from the original packet, but then this updated accounts payable will hit the website after you do. A lot of work getting this stuff all in place. I'm gonna address the Tabitha Peterson on the back there. She came in to help us with that filing project. To move everything from months to vendors, so we can find things faster, because historically, everything was filed by vendors. Then with our retiring finance officer, she wanted to do things by months, so instead of having to look at two different filing systems, we made them all uniform, and that's the project that she did.
was an hourly wage or something like that.
Yeah, because you guys had agreed that when we have assistants in City Hall, it was 15 an hour.
I'll make a motion to approve the updated claims payable.
Nikki's got the first,
Second.
Ryan's got the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. On to old business. So we have the second reading of the chickens. We were all excited about when we did the reading in November. And we all just kind of relaxed and didn't really worry about it. So now we actually have to do the second reading and have it published and everything before the chickens hatch, because we were like, oh, we probably should finish this out. So that's what we're doing today. There's really no changes from the first reading. Other than the typo that you guys pointed out in the last meeting, and everything else should be exactly the same, so it's just a second reading, and now I need a motion to pass it unless there's something else you guys want, or if you want to talk more chickens.
Deb.
Hmm?
There's a typo in the first sentence.
Is it the checks?
No, it's Dakota.
Oh, boy.
What? I thought I switched. Okay, all
Oh, yeah.
right, everybody circle it, everybody circle it. I'm sorry. We will make that amended change. I don't know how that hit when we were all concerned about checks.
Checks.
Checks. and-
Checks.
I just, never mind, it's all good, never mind.
Don't change anything but that word.
Okay, so can I have a motion to, pass the amended ordinance 313?
I'll make a motion to, approve ordinance 313 with the, quota spelled correctly.
Perfect. Got a second?
I'll second.
One question,
Yes, sir.
on the final page, when it talks about the penalties, which is referred to the kind of uniform standard issue penalty.
Mhm.
Do we want that in there since we're going to be refining?
We have to have it in there because we haven't refined.
Okay,
So what we'll.
that'll just be included in the refining process.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a great question though, but because we
Yep.
don't have the timing right.
Yep.
What Travis is referring to is we're gonna be refining our ordinances, so all penalties will be by resolution and not by ordinance. And so he was pointing out very astutely that these penalties on them and are an ordinance, so. Good catch there. So I got any other questions or discussion? Okay, I got a first from Brian and a second from Nikki as amended. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Well, all right, we officially have chickens now on the publishing 20 days, and now everybody can go get chickens. I'm just gonna go get KFC.
Me too.
That was for you. Okay, Microsoft license and renewals. So, because we have been kind of, inundated with getting everything working on G-Works, I haven't looked at the licenses yet, but we're keeping this in old business until I get to that. It's definitely on the priority list, but we're not there yet. Coming soon. And then I'll explain all the licenses, what we have and what I recommend. Okay? So that is still tabled until next month, because I don't have any recommendations yet. As far as the City Hall destruction event, that also is being researched. As I said before, there was 3 weeks of footage. There's 3 cameras. That's a lot of hours. Because this administration has always figured on the side of caution. We're going to be thorough before we make any recommendations. So there is no further updates at that moment, but you can be sure that you will be updated as soon as we have it. As far as fines and fees review, again, that is in motion. Because we're working on the ticketing book and the ordinances. All of the aldermen have reviewed their quarter of ordinances, and now we're going through, and John and I are probably gonna meet and kind of do a once over and then come back and say, okay, this is what we found, this is what we saw, we'll come back and then we'll start the process of the first, the second, that kind of thing. And so, or at least have a plan of attack. We're gonna look at it and then have a plan of attack of how to do it, because we've been kind of scratching our heads of now what, right? I think all of the aldermen need a very big thank you, because our ordinances are difficult at best to go through. And we understand that there's bridges to Terabitha, you know, and they go nowhere. And if you follow an ordinance and then it goes somewhere else, and then it goes somewhere else, and then it goes up here. And so the goal is to get that cleaned up and make it a little bit easier. And so thank you for your patience, and thank you for all your work of looking at that and pointing out what needs to be correct. So thanks for that.
Hey Deb, I assume that if what we have submitted is not correct or complete, you'll let us know.
Oh, 100%.
Okay,
Yeah, because we have to do, we're going off your advisement as a place to start.
okay.
And then again, because this person is very thorough.
Yeah, I know he is.
He's our city attorney. We'll be sure. Yeah, well, you can't spell Dakota, but you know, I don't know how much we have Dakota in our ordinances, so I think you'll be okay.
Well, it was this finger.
Was it that one?
Yeah. We're gonna send him back to typing class. And, yeah, so we'll definitely let you know and keep you apprised. I mean, this is gonna be a heavy lift, you know, redoing all this stuff. And so everybody will be aware of it. And then when we need feedback, we'll get that. Hopefully we'll have some new tools to get feedback for citizens. That'll be forthcoming. So that'll be fun too. Colton swimming program. The Colton mayor called and they had a snafu with their agenda, and he was gonna talk tonight, but he's actually having this meeting tonight. And so he won't be able to talk tonight, but what I'm gonna do is schedule a time, have a Teams meeting with them. We'll make that publicly available so everybody gets their information about the Colton swimming program. Last time I went to the mayor's roundtable, there were several other cities that said it's a fantastic program. They loved it. They highly recommended it, but we'll get the details from the Colton maker and make it public. There's really not a council vote that's required on this, because it's basically a public program at no cost to City Hall. So it's just a matter of getting the information out. So we'll take it from there.
How long will that be?
I plan to talk to him tomorrow. And so we should be able to have that online within a day or two.
Okay.
And then, yeah, that program sounds really great. It sounds good. It's basically a busing program over to the Colton swimming pool. So kind of fun. And then he has some new sponsorships or something. So he said the cost would probably be even less than what he originally thought, but I don't, you know, I guess I'll find out more when I talk to him.
And it's 3 days a week, right?
I believe that's
It's-
correct.
However many we choose to participate in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But
So we'll get the information, yeah,
Okay.
instead of like guessing. Let's
Okay.
get that. So on to our favorite CIP plan.
I thought it was just me. It's.
Justin Heim, our ISG engineer, is going to speak very loudly into the owl so everybody can hear him.
You know, if I'm not speaking loud enough.
Before you get started.
Yeah.
You know how it's this way? Your maps are wrong.
I know. That's why it's still draft. Ideally,
Quick save.
the final draft would be 11 by 17 with fold outs. So, there we go. Yeah.
Nice.
Now I got big expectations for me.
Yeah. This is a recap. Remember, this is the capital improvement plan that ISG got grants from the state to have it subsidized for us to get this plan. Typically, it's pretty pricey. It's normally like 15,000 and we got half of that subsidized, if I recall correctly. It was 30,000 and we got the 15 subsidized.
Yep.
So even better. And so what this does is there's two plans that happen in a city. One is the comprehensive plan and one is the CIP plan, the capital improvement plan. The comprehensive plan by definition is exactly that, comprehensive. It kind of talks about all of the things. That's clearly a document that we need to update. It hasn't been updated in over 20 years. However, in a sense of urgency, since we're kind of been tied up with a couple of things for a year and a half or so, we thought it was a better use of our time and resources to take advantage of this grant and also come up with a priority list of what we want to do with our capital expenditures, because as everybody's aware, municipalities are kind of beholden to their budgets. And so with that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Great summary. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
So I know several of you guys spent all weekend reading this. So you'll notice the first half is a lot of that background information. It's the in-depth analysis on the utilities. And that's just really our bones and our frameworks, which develops into our projects. So I'm going to skip to the chase a little bit here. On Appendix A, that's our project list. So we have 21 projects on here. The first 3 projects, those are already funded and going to be constructed this year. So if we look at the projects 4 through 21,
What page are you on?
23.
Justin, for those of us who don't have that, could you tell us what those 3 projects are?
Yep, so it's a Oak Nash Utility Improvements Project, and we'll be talking about a little later, the water main looping project, and then the main lift station improvements.
Those are all things that have been in play for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, long time. And that's where we got what we affectionately call the Biden bucks to help subsidize those projects. And that is the adjustment that we had on the utility bill to be able to offset the cost on that projects that was required by the state. Which also affected how we do our water billing because we had to have a minimum guarantee.
Yep.
To get the funding. And so those 3 projects are kind of in the works now and going strong.
Yep, absolutely. So when we look at those projects 4 through 21, we essentially have about $25 million for new projects. So that's a lot to choose. So really what we're looking at is some prioritization. There's definitely utility projects on here that are going to be prioritized just based on need. Really working with Ryan, one of those is going to be the lagoon improvements. Through our analysis, it shows that we're at capacity. So main lift station will be step 1 of that project. Lagoons will be step 2. As you will see, we have costs associated with all these projects. It's one of the big things about the capital improvement plan. We have all these projects cost estimated and identified with high level concepts. Part of that reason is we know we will not be able to fund all $25 million of these projects.
Unless we have a bond.
Yeah,
Unless we have a bond.
Yes.
We love bonds in Baltic, right?
you know, it would be great. We'd have the projects ready to go, but part of that point is if we do get more of those ARPA funds that come available, like we saw a couple of years ago, a lot of these projects are ready to go. What we're looking for tonight is just some input on these projects. You know, if we feel like we missed one just from what we hear in the community, what you guys see as council members, or priority, right? You know, maybe some of these need to be knocked down the list, moved up the list, et cetera. And what that's going to help us do is if we flip to Appendix C, which is page 59, right now that one's blank. And really what we're doing is giving the priorities on these projects. We're going through all the city financials, what we have for outstanding debt, loans, et cetera, and seeing how these projects all play into place. Once we have the priorities, we have the financial data, we'll do that analysis, and that's really going to finesse this framework out. So really, when we come back next month with the final report, this page 23 is going to look a little differently. But I want to make sure we get your guys' input on priority. So,
I think this is a balance because a lot of, taxpayers don't understand that the city is not really a revenue source. Our only revenue that a city has is from the taxpayers and primarily the landowners, exclusively the landowners. And so that those revenue threads come from property taxes, which what are we like 13% of the property taxes that everybody pays? And then we have the fees from our utility bills, and which is your water bill and your garbage bill. And so that's really the only way that we have to finance the city. And the state has not engaged in allowing municipalities to create their own taxes to pay for things, although it has been under discussion with a lot of mayors that we would really like that option. There really isn't a lot of revenue sources available to us unless we finance. And financing from a city standpoint sometimes can be tricky, but that's why we work with organizations such as ISG to help us find either A, grants, which we affectionately have talked about for years, right? How do we find these magical dollars? And then B, how do we finance it in a way that doesn't cripple our lenders? Because really, it's the property owners in Baltic that pay for everything. And so there's sometimes a misnomer when I see on social media where people are like, why can't the city just pay for this? Or, especially sidewalks is my favorite. Because people think that magically sidewalks are going to appear, but what people don't understand is sidewalks are paid for by the property owners that need the sidewalks. Basically, it's an assessment. So if you're wanting a sidewalk and you look out your front door and you don't have a sidewalk, then if you really want sidewalks, then be prepared to pay for them because they'll be assessed. Now, there's creative ways to assess that in a city. You can do it over 7 to 10 years, so it's not cost prohibitive. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, it's the property owners that pay for everything out of the city. And when it comes to residential services and infrastructure and things like that, commercial development's a little bit different because then you have someone else coming in, co-investing, or, we can find different grants and things like that through the different organizations that are looking out for our welfare. But these things like the water tower and the lagoons, those are basic infrastructure that we have to find the money for. And these are the types of studies that one could argue should have been done a while ago before we added 25% of the population into this city. So
16 through 20, the utility improvements, what's that about? What all utilities?
what number?
16 is like Johnson Green, and then you got Douglas.
Yeah, and total
so-
those utility improvements are just getting our water main upsized, replacing old sanitary sewer, so just
Okay.
getting our basic utilities upgraded.
Recommendation.
Those are the streets that
That's just
either
the
gas sign up or asbestos cement pipe.
Okay.
That's everything. Honestly, after the Oak and Ash, everything on the north side of Lovely Avenue will pretty much be 100% PVC pipe in the ground, started in the 70s.
Mhm.
The older part, Johnson and Kringen are older pipe, and then there's a couple sections on Moorfield that are pipe in the city.
And those are ongoing projects. That's something that City Hall's always been aware of, and they've always been trying to figure out where to find the money for. Travis is nodding because he knows that that's
We've talked
something
about
that,
that forever.
Yeah.
What pipes were old, once either figure place, that's where these Oak and Ash, and then I think that's where the Johnson Crane conversation came from, because we knew that
Right.
that was impending at some point. I don't think Johnson Crane is as critical as like the Oak and Ash, the other ones, but yeah, that's perfect.
And number 6, is that 1 quarter 2?
that would be 2 for those of you who didn't see him hold up his hand.
Also, number 8, I would like to see taken out
I think Brian's right on that one too.
because in my humble opinion, I don't think we need that and that cost isn't needed. And I've heard people complaining about
Oh, the
that.
nature buffer, got it. Okay.
That is well heard.
I'm sorry, yeah, natural fall grass stuff.
I need to verify what we all had it included in there because just the native buffer was not that expensive.
Unless anybody's got an argument otherwise, I agree with Brian. I've had the same kickback.
Yeah.
People saying they were worried about rodents and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and it's super tricky too, because we met with the people that live on Anna. And I just had another inquiry this week about the people on Anna and how the park runs. And because of the way those houses were built, I think it was originally built to handle the water offload, but then extra houses got built, then fences got put in, and then sheds got put in, which all obstruct the originally intended water flow. So now there's a lot of burden on the homes because water will always find a way, right? It will always find a way. And so I know that there's some homeowners that are really struggling there. And so we had met, I think it was Ed and I that had met with a group of Anna homeowners and talked to them about, to get a better understanding what their concerns were and really what their options are. We had Justin go take a look at that. And I think Ryan, you're pretty familiar with that. And what I explained the homeowner this week, again, or actually she wasn't at the meeting, is that, the only way that we can reconstruct water flow is if everybody on that street and everybody downstream pretty much agrees to it. And typically, again, it comes in the form of an assessment. Because that's kind of how it works. And so because Baltic Heights Park wasn't built with an understructure and it's just that little lip curve, what is that called? And it's just a little.
A swale.
The swale. So it wasn't, there isn't like an under thing that you can just run it to the sewer and run it out. I mean, so there's two options. Either we do it behind their houses. And then you gotta ask the people on the corner, do you mind us having a big thing going through the middle of your property? Or we have to dig up all of Anna, make it go lower, and then run the water in there and put a complete sewer system in. None of those are cheap options.
Sixth, right?
Yep, 6 all the way down to the river, basically.
All the way through.
The hard part is getting we would have to get a utility easement from homeowners because
Mhm.
gravity is downhill and so we'd have to go through someone's yard.
Yeah. And so there's that, and it was a long discussion, and actually I really appreciated the homeowners asking and allowing us to explain, and once they found out that all their fences would have to be removed and their sheds would have to be moved, and we'd have to figure out what to do, and then maybe they could put them back. Then it wasn't as fun of a conversation, and it was enlightening, because at the end of the day, we all are neighbors here, and we all pay for everything together. That's what makes Baltic fun. Okay, so number 8's off the list, or?
Part of that project number 8, I'm gonna note too, the majority of the cost was playground equipment. When we did the Parks Master Plan, if we recall, we were looking at some of the new playground equipment.
Maybe just-
Just know that,
Maybe
yeah,
we
we
can
can
call it
revise it to
playground.
playground if that's still a priority.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe that's the way
that's
to do
what
it.
we'll do.
So they don't get the diggity on the whole weed thing. And didn't that involve relocating the golf course so it wasn't putting adjacent landowners getting frisbees in their backyard? Because I know that that was another huge concern.
We had that within the basketball court cost estimate in that.
Okay, cool, that was another thing. I learned tonight that there's a retention pond in Baltic Heights Park. I didn't know that.
Where?
You know, when you go right into the parking lot and there's that driveway there, and right off to the north, there's that big dip, and you always wonder why there's a big dip and then a sidewalk and then another big dip. It's because that first big dip is actually the detention pond for Baltic Heights Park. I know, the more you know. Now everybody knows what that big divot is for, because I didn't even know what it was for, now everybody else can. I know, right? I'm like, can't we just fill that up? And they're like, no, it's a detention pond. I'm like, oh, we know all about detention ponds in Baltic, so.
Justin, since you have the park, community garden and paving parking lot for future, is there any way that we could put in paving the actual parking lot involved with that too?
The existing parking lot?
Yeah. Because I don't think that was written in anywhere else.
One thing I thought of today or yesterday,
Mhm.
with the use of the ball fields, there's ball field lights.
Oh, yeah.
That's about a 300,
Oh, let me add something to that too, because I was talking to Dr. Bass, who by the way is a really smart guy, and I had a lot of fun talking to him. We drove around the city and he showed me the new high school, and I took him around Baltic, and he had a bunch of questions. And so it was really a constructive conversation. And he had asked about Baltic Heights and lights. And he had expressed potential, because obviously he and I talking mean nothing. We were just brainstorming. He said that he would be willing to engage in a conversation about co-sharing a light expense for the purposes of, now that softball is sanctioned. One of the things that I mentioned is we were trying to brainstorm how to put a third field in Baltic Heights Park and where that would go. And so Justin has been erasing, scratching, putting, trying to figure out, and then now Ryan Potts is in the mix, trying to figure out where a third field could go. It would probably be, one field would be smaller and then 2 would be the bigger. So we could, house multiple teams, because that's, the school really won't have land accessible anywhere in the future, near future, to be able to put a field on. So it would make sense to optimize Baltic Heights Park because it's a lot of space there. And there's a lot of space there that maybe we could use a little more strategically. And so that's part of that. If we can add to that, that would be also good.
There's also a lot of concern about practice time up there at the Ball Diamonds, space. And there's been talk about going over to River Park in the fields there
Mhm.
on the outskirt of the diamond.
Beyond, yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
so I mean, if that is a possibility, could we have that mowed regularly? Because I don't know if it's tall grass or
The parking spots, where they park everything, that's just more.
west of the outfield, southwest of the outfield, and then outside of the fence, isn't there a green space?
The green space, yeah, we mow that, stuff like that,
I don't-
the parking for the ball field and stuff like that, so.
Is there's talk about moving 10U and maybe even 8U out there because they're not gonna have room up at Heights.
And I
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, that's where, with this, on anything, it wasn't in there, but I think that's more priority because I haven't talked to the ball association, but with there's so many kids in town. You can't have double headers because we don't have lights. I mean, you start a game at 5:30, which is very time.
Yeah.
Hard for parents to get to those games, and then you have a second game start at 7, and I'm just thinking of what Crooks and Colton do with theirs. So you can't get like a midgets or a peewees game done, and then you got softball and stuff. So that's where I was just, yeah, like I said, I just up there and I go, I know basketball courts would be great, but I think for the use of those ball fields, they're 4 days a week and there's need for multiple times that are
So
available.
there's a couple of ways to address this from what I understand, talking to people, just a second, Devin, I'll get you in there. From what I understand, some of the electrical companies are sometimes amenable to giving some assistance in that area, for sponsorship or maybe not sponsorship, depending on what's going on there. The second thing is we could certainly talk to the school board to see if they would be interested in the cost sharing because Bods is absolutely right. It just doesn't make sense not to have lights right now. It should be a priority. But first of all, we need to make sure that the locations of the fields are exactly where we want them to be. And this third field will be into play on that. And so what I'm hearing, because the lights are a priority, is we probably need to bump up the third field investigation, then do lights. And maybe this is a conversation of like, what's a quick win versus what are the mandatory expenses? Because, summer's coming. And so we just need to kind of figure out how we want to navigate that.
I think with baseball being sanctioned now, and with the school using it, I think there's no better time to tackle lights than now. The only other time was 2 years ago,
100%,
and it's only gonna get more expensive going forward. So
which is why
I think
we need to bump it up. Deb, you had a question?
In all the discussion about Baltic Heights and the high school teams coming in and revamping and maybe a new field, I didn't hear anyone mention the P word,
What,
parking.
parking?
You need to really be mindful of your parking situation because any small activity up there right now, you don't even have adequate parking for. And you're going to be adding another field, you're going to be adding teenagers who all drive. You need to be thinking about the parking aspect because that hill, right, John, is not a good, safe place for overflow parking.
That is a discussion I have with adding a third field. It's like to take up too much of your real estate for parks and rentals.
6. Yeah, we'd add it, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Drawing, we had some additional parking.
Was it? Well, and then there's always.
Up in the northeast corner.
Had to.
Instead of just, Brian, instead of just the corner, maybe it should be all 6 from property line to property line.
There's some distinct advantages of putting parking spots on Sixth Street. We definitely have the land to do it, but there, again, cost associated to that.
Right.
Also on Fifth Street. I don't know how we navigate that to be able to add something, or maybe we take a look at the north parking lot to see if we have opportunities there. Because the south parking lot is such prime real estate for amenities. I think if we're adding parking, it should probably be more on the north side of the park rather than the south side of the park. So use your future vision and think about what that's gonna look like when the commercial development's actually done. We probably don't wanna have parking lots between commercial businesses in the park. It's gonna be better for us to make sure amenities are as close to that as possible, so we have a commingling of that. It's a good selling point to the commercial properties that wanna be there and attract that traffic. And it also has a share of parking, right? So if we can figure out how to navigate that, in the future, it could be a really sweet, what do you call that, co-tenancy, right, Bryce? It's a good co-tenancy model. So there's lots of moving pieces, so you can appreciate why the CIP plan's a big deal.
Well, you gotta also remember that southeast lot at the corner of Sixth and Lovely, that's not the city's. They're
No.
letting us park there.
That is
because
100% true.
Ryan maintains it for them.
That is 100% true. So those of you who don't know, that grassy lot that's on Sixth and Lovely has nothing to do with the city. They do an exchange for parking to mow it. So that is not something that we can assume is ours to use, and it may go away at any moment.
Mr. Ferguson was gonna sell
I'm sorry.
it. Later, Mr. Ferguson was gonna sell it.
Well, it may happen. It may happen. If you know somebody that wants it, let's get a conversation going. And then also it's taking a look at those lots, because those commercial lots that are on the north side of Lovely Avenue are super deep. I mean, if you've ever looked at the GIS on that, it is super deep. It could also be a conversation that maybe we ask those landowners, are they amenable to shortening their lot so we can use that for parking, and then they can use it for parking and we use it for parking. And there could be a good thing there. So it's just kind of how you want to look at it and how you want to address it. Sometimes it's better with the whiteboard and a map up on the wall, right, Justin? So, sorry.
Pretty limited spots back there on the north end.
I just say, if you could pull up what a map of the heights looks like. For where I was looking, a ball field would be west of the west field. And I was thinking on shortening up the west diamond to like a 200 foot, because then we don't have to put it, the school would never have to put up a temporary fence for softball. I think it'd be big enough for peewees. Midgets could use it, but they're gonna, hit home runs about every time on that. But then I measured like 150 foot field maybe by the north parking lot there. But there's that shelter there. So this is something for you guys to think, if you're okay with removing that shelter, we'd have to change the Frisbee golf has to a tee off and then a goal in that area. So those would have to be moved. But we could probably use,
Get that map of Baltic Heights up to not do that.
so you could do something to make another 200 foot field. So then there'd be, I'd say, 2 softball fields. And then the east diamond could be multi-use. It's a softball field, but it's a deep one that can be used for midget or peanut baseball and stuff like that. But then that's what we have to do to make another field that could accommodate older children. Have to move some stuff around or remove some stuff.
Well, and also if you take a look at those shelters, they're all kind of
That shelter.
in really obscure places.
You take it down, it's, you rebuild it. I'm just with what Ryan was, that part where you were saying, that part is full, like the bike
Yeah, there's
path.
not much
The
there.
bike path limits.
Well, if anything, you could put that shelter next to the one on the south side.
I was driving through with Dr. Bass, and he very astutely said, take a look at those parking or those picnic shelters. If you want to watch a game, you can't see a single game from any one of those parking shelters or picnic shelters, sorry. And I was like, he's right, but because I never thought to do that, yeah.
Strategically, I think when it was put in, they were along the bike path, so people would have a resting spot. It's, there, so. And there's 2 over into one side, so it's,
Those would be, moving anything is gonna be costly, but at the same time, they're movable. Everything's movable, right? Justin, did we go sideways? Are we still on track with what you need?
No, I think you're good. What I'm hearing and what the input on, I'm gonna kind of put the utility projects to the side because those are gonna rise to the top based on need, and Ryan gets what he wants, so it's gonna be the priority there, right?
We're gonna,
But if,
guys, we're gonna
but-
have to prep for lagoon and we're gonna have to
Yeah.
prep for water tower. There's no getting
so
around.
we're going to, for right now, and a lot of that background's in here. Look at really the projects number 6 through, call it 15, right? Our Baltic Heights Park, to our sidewalk plan, plus our ball field lights. from the conversation I've heard here, if push comes to shove, it sounds like ball field lights would be, first on that. Now this is where you guys probably start battling on telling me what second, is it the basketball courts, is it the splash pad?
Well, according to Brian, the splash pad's been kicked back a year. There's more little kids in this town than basketball players.
Well, and you know,
Little kids can dribble.
so, so the kicker is,
Starting young, right?
do we have any funds that we can even pull immediately from this right now?
Well, and that's really where we're looking at, that 5-year plan comprehensively, and where those priorities are is kind of gonna be where it plays, right? And I also want to note if ball field lights is priority number 1, that's gonna be the first project that we look to fit in, call it a quote unquote amenity project.
Mhm.
Every year our plan is to revisit this, look at our financials, see where we're at, what we got done, what we didn't get done, what's saved, and then we can continue to, have conversations about those projects as well. Maybe some funding come in for splash pad specific, we get that knocked out, and then we're looking at ballparks or, sidewalks, whatever it may be.
Well, and a splash pad could be something that starts simple and then we add to it.
Yep.
So it doesn't have to be fancy pants on the way out the gate, we can do whatever.
Those little kids waiting pools.
Yes. So let's go to Walmart and get those $15 waiting pools and yeah,
And a sprinkler.
yeah, and a sprinkler. That's what's
Charging Greedy the water bill.
Yeah, we're gonna do a bike wash with curly girls.
So there's the heights if you want
Yeah.
to be like where that shelter is right there in the,
I'm trying to, can you show me what you're thinking of that third location?
move your mouse. to
Right
the-
here?
Yeah, to the left a little bit. That shelter, that's the ground goal. That's the playground goal to the north.
So we have to move.
I think Brian McCready wants you to.
Let me go.
Oh,
See it there.
right there.
Okay.
So if you would figure if you see the lower field, by the time if you tear out that shelter, you'd almost be to that parking lot. And then you would have your one side skimming playground equipment, the other side skimming the bike path. And you would actually shorten up that Westfield's fence 50 feet, and that would be 200. And that'd be a 200-foot field. The other one would be that, 175 to, realistically, it'd be great to make it, I think, talking to Edward, I think like the requirements for sanctioned softball, is you have to have either 180 to 230 or something like that, or 220.
240.
So you have to have that. So most of them just go with 200-foot fence, just kind of keep it simple, so.
Well, and if we have to level out any of that ground, the school keeps talking about all this extra group they have, so maybe we can work out a deal with them there too. So I mean, I know one of the biggest concerns Justin first had when he was looking at this park is it's very rolly. And so maybe evening that out a little bit and having a little help with that would be ideal. I mean, no promises, but we're all spitballing here, right?
So is the east field too big then?
East field is 300, you'd have to put a temporary fence. East field is,
Well, the school's gonna have to put up a temporary.
yeah, so you could use any field up there with temporary. But it's when you have other sports that you have to, so if you have a midget game or you have to remove it. I know with Tri Valley and Crooks, they had to move it 3 times, I think last season. Pull the temporary fence out so they could have games and just put it back in.
So the good news is that the people that came before us gave us a lot of land to work with. And I think that was on Nikki's watch, wasn't it? And so they did a great job negotiating green space, which is why green space.
GMP Construction was very
Yeah.
generous.
Steve Aldridge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Steve Aldrich did a great job.
Steve
That's
did a
why
great job.
green space is so critical when you're dealing with developers. So that way we can make sure that as a city, we can provide the amenities that each neighborhood needs and wants. We are important, right? Okay. Do you have what you need? What else do you need? Do we need Ryan to arm wrestle or?
Yeah,
are we gonna-
or send me secret emails. But what the plan will be is, hopefully have that financial analysis done within these next 2 weeks, send out the final draft report. At least one, hopefully 2 weeks prior to next council meeting, That way you guys can review it and then next council meeting, have everything fleshed out and that'll be the kind of plan that we adopt. Like I said, on a yearly basis, we'll revisit it, play with our projects, making sure we're being proactive, so.
And I know one thing with what Fulton did, they had Newsco come in and do their lights for their amateur Legion baseball field. And I think that was 250,000. They did a 10-year lease for 25,000. And then they just did one of their smaller fields. I don't know what the cost is, but they, Newsco comes out with a program. So then it wouldn't be
That's awful.
That's.
a lump sum. It would be a
Right.
$30,000 to $40,000 payment a year, 10 years or
I'm
something.
really glad you brought that up, because the nice thing that municipalities have is consistency, and vendors understand that we're a pretty stable bet.
Yeah.
Right? And so especially when cities and schools do things collaboratively, there are a lot of people that are very amenable of working out a deal and these lease programs and payment programs and things like that. And so, we just need to be creative and we need to be communicative. And if you have citizens that have really strong opinions about these things, we need them to be present and, or at least voice to you so you can represent them when we come to have these conversations. Because once these decisions are made, coming back and say, well, why didn't you do this? Now's the time to speak up, and we'll speak to that when we get to front office too, because we'll try to make this available as soon as possible for citizens to speak up, just to see if there's any uprising on.
Right, talk over some of any of this baseball fields with like, Barb or,
No, I haven't, no.
There probably needs to be a double check with the BAA. You're kind of a representative for BAA, aren't you? Are
It
you?
can be, I guess.
Yeah, because you've been kind of talking to them and been going to the meetings.
Well, not the itself, the parents that are involved.
Okay. Why don't you reach out to Barb and just say, hey, I want to meet communication if you don't mind. And then, would you work closely with Mr. Fox, please? So that way you both are aware of what's going on.
Well, he wants to work with me, that is.
Nobody wants to work with
Right.
you.
yeah, Barb's number. Brian.
Yes.
Okay, what else do you need, sir?
I thought, yeah, I do have something else. I think the sidewalk master plan should be moved up on the list.
I think the sidewalk master plan is brilliant. We just have to have clear communication so the citizens know what's coming down. There's,
Well, it's over
It's self-
time,
it's
it's,
self-funded.
right. So that tells me right there, it's a no brainer. And if you want them, you're gonna be assessed.
Well, and honestly, I gotta tell you, it is the number one thing that I hear. Other than, when are we gonna get more businesses in Baltic? The next one is like, how can we, from walking your dogs, being safe, having people, kids walking on the street, making sure that we have safe paths to school. I
Probably more of a challenge in the actual project itself.
What's that?
The process leading up to it's gonna be more of a challenge in the actual project, so.
Actually, Justin's got a pretty good idea. I've been hammering in this, since my first week in office. I've been like, we gotta figure this out.
Yeah, it will require a lot of communication, right? That's the biggest thing, like the process.
Why the jump from 16 to 203?
The 16 would be more of a planning,
Okay,
effort
okay.
planning, some of the engineering costs. And then the next phases are really starting to get the implementation.
It's just in a nutshell, it's pretty pragmatic. It's taking an evaluation of what we already have in Baltic, who already has curb and gutter, who already has sidewalks, right? So those are basically off the list because that's done. Then you take a look and see who has curb and gutter and doesn't have sidewalks. And then we fill in that gap. That would be priority 2 because it's the least amount of work to get it. Then the third priority would be, okay, who doesn't have curb and gutter and who doesn't have sidewalks, or conversely, because we have people that have sidewalks but don't have curb and gutter. And so then we would fill in that gap because makes the most sense. And then lastly, we would go to the streets that don't have curb and gutter and don't have sidewalks. And then they would be last in line. And that just seemed like it made sense. Sure.
Would this be something that we could create a poll for via the text message system?
Yeah, when we get to, I keep alluding to front office because our new software allows a lot of citizen interaction. And so we're exploring exactly what that looks like. But yes, that would be our central communication tool. So everybody would be informed. It's not like a Facebook thing. It's like direct communication
Right.
with our citizens. So yes, the answer is yes.
Because we have a poll bot at work
Mhm.
that answer questions or whatever, and then you get all the feedback.
Well, you know what the answer is gonna be? Everybody wants sidewalks, but nobody wants to pay for
Well, I already know that, but depending on what population says what, you can prioritize areas.
them. And then the question is how do we do it? Do we give people the choice? Do we force it? Do we do citywide? I mean, how do we do that? You know, and that's a tricky game.
Key to it, they let people turn around on their own, pursue it, and the timeline, at the end of the timeline, the city stepped in. And
Because
I
then,
think the end was the same too.
well, the thing is that if we do it collectively and strategically, we will save costs as a city. So every individual property owner will save over time if we do an overall project rather than onesie twosies, right?
Becomes good.
Yep, 100%.
Justin, on the Oak and Ash improvements.
Yeah.
In the road that's getting fixed after that, is that gonna go all the way down to the gas station? Where does that start and stop? I only ask that because if we're working in the, for whatever reason, just on this, but if we're working in that area, would it be wise to address that narrow old bridge?
That
along
does,
that road?
that does not go down
I
there.
don't know where
So
that started and stopped.
one of our,
Right at this, Ash and Second.
yeah,
'Cause, yeah, there's no utilities, other than there is a force main somewhere.
Yeah.
Going by the gas station, I don't even know where that
I
is.
wondered if we need to slip that into a, which is not really, nothing really close by to piggyback off of, but not that it really hurts a whole lot, but sure is pain.
I think we can look at our funds, where Ryan was going, the challenge on getting just that section redone as part of this project with the SRF funds. There's no utilities underneath it, so
There's nothing on
So-
that little string.
No,
Danner's not looking at that
Right.
as improvement, right? Most of these improvements, when we got water main and sanitary underneath the road, if you replace those, we can get the street back. So.
the only thing would, where your neighbor to the south, his shoots like almost straight to where the lift station is, just his
Yeah.
sanitary service line shoots straight across there.
Right.
And then the water comes from
Water goes
somewhere
down
over
the
there and it just goes right to where the garage is, out the
Yep.
driveway to the garage, so.
It's interesting to know what the best solution for that is. Or you just dig it up and throw a box culvert in it and wash it out,
Expensive.
I think a levitation pad would be just
something.
go over the top.
That round grid ain't gonna last forever.
No, it's not.
Don't look underneath it.
Crawling down on there.
It's old.
You don't like that little.
What do you suppose that is set?
Hey, it controls traffic speed, it's traffic.
Yes.
Better than a strict speed.
Does a good job there.
There's no question about that. Okay, what else, Justin, do you need?
I think that's all. If there's more comments, don't be afraid to shoot them to me via email. And work on getting this polished up, so.
I think it's pretty close out of the box.
You did an incredible job.
Huge checkbook to pay for it.
Yeah, we need some
Find
sponsorships.
this money there.
Put some signs up around town. It's like,
Still waiting on that.
ran dressed like a NASCAR driver. That goes everywhere.
Yes, ma'am.
Before you leave old business, I have two questions. What was the outcome of the look-see that was gonna be done over at the doghouse regarding their plumbing water issues?
That
Is there
is in the
anything-
last meeting that we were gonna send a, roto rooter to go see exactly what the cause was.
So nothing's happened since.
Nothing's happened since then.
We tried to televise it, but we can't get access to it. We had to go through the old gas station, to at least get a camera down there a ways.
Mhm.
We'll have to dig up probably this spring, once we can, in the alleyway. Tony had said that there's some clean outs there. And then we'll be able to go down there, because the way they plumbed it back in the past, there is like a service line down the alley. But like for the doghouse, it is directly to the south, and all they did is popped a hole in that service line and just stuck their sewer main, or their service line into it, so we couldn't get around. Usually there's a Y that, so you can, yeah. hold it.
Just plug it in.
No, this will work.
Wow. It's run by duct tape.
I think it's wide open. And then we went down the sewer main too, and that's kind of the same thing. They just popped a hole in the sewer main, and just.
The good old days. The good old days.
So yeah, we did look at it. We got where we can. We're gonna try to figure out where these cleanouts are in the alley and televise it that way, so then we can actually see what's in that service line.
Oh, I just said Bud probably did that, and, the school board just voted to put a little commemorative plaque of Bud in the old Baltic gym to honor him and all of the work that he did to help build that, and I think in honor of how many times he told the story of what it took to build that. So that was really neat. Second question.
Second question, at the January 16th meeting, there was conversation regarding upcoming elections in April. And Lacey was going to be interacting with the school. Can we have an update?
We're gonna be, both parties are gonna be doing the election at the old school gym.
There we go. Voter convenience. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Anything else you need, sir? Any other questions about old business? You guys ready to move on? Okay,
I don't know when we're reading next weekend now.
I'll give you some. I got a whole bunch of ordinances you can read. Read. And about 360 hours of video footage if you want. Anything else you want to do?
I'm good.
Okay. I don't know, Lacey, we got plenty of stuff. Yeah, if you have something to do, we got plenty of stuff to do. That's not a problem at all.
I'm gonna be time manager.
That's it.
Okay, I'm through business. Bryce Healy is here tonight in representing the Sioux Metro Growth Alliance.
Yes, and I believe Tyler Torsten is on.
Oh, is he in?
Oh, let me make sure that he
You have
is.
the ability to check his microphone?
You're right. Okay, hold on here. Pop quiz. Unmuted, but-
Hey, good evening. Can you guys hear me okay?
Can hear ya. Tyler, are you gonna need to share screens at all?
No, so you can either look at my profile pic or you can, if you unlock the camera, then you can see my face, but
Hold on a
Prob-
second, Tyler.
okay.
You do a test for us?
Test 1, 2.
You better. Okay, thank you.
Great. Well, appreciate the opportunity to visit with you guys remotely. Appreciate the opportunity to call in. I want to be respectful of your guys' time, so I'll keep this brief. Two, just wanted to be able to share a little background on who I am, and then also our organization as a refresher for many of you. So I'm Tyler Tortzen. I've been in the role as the president and CEO of the Sioux Metro Growth Alliance for not quite 4 months yet. Feels like it's been a year, but it's gone by pretty quick. I come into this role as a lifelong South Dakotan, spent the last 8.5 years working for U.S. Senator Mike Rounds as his regional director out of Sioux Falls. So bring a lot of federal and state perspectives, which my wheels are already turning for you guys as you're talking about your capital plans and talking about sidewalks. And, there's some avenues that our team can do some research for you guys to see, what kind of federal or state funding opportunities might exist out there for you. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. But some background on SMGA, the Sioux Metro Growth Alliance. We've been this organization since 2021 when we merged two entities, Makita and Lakita. So throwing a whole bunch of acronyms at you. The Minnehaha County Economic Development Association, which, if my history is correct, I think Baltic has been a member since 1991, since our origin. So although it seems like we're a little bit of a newer organization, our roots go back over 30 years. And the biggest thing that we do, to kind of put it in simple terms, is to advocate for our members, which currently we have 4 counties, Minnehaha, Lincoln, Turner, and McCook, and then 16 member municipalities, and really just helping advocate for growth in these communities, in your community. And when businesses are looking at relocating, just in my first couple of months here, we have people, even small business owners that are already in the area, some that are across the state in different areas looking to relocate into the metro. And a lot of them don't want to be in Sioux Falls. And so they'll come to us and ask, hey, what do you know for, here's my business, here's my size, here's what I need. I want to relocate. And so we can help advocate and try to bring, new families or new business or new industry to your community. So that's one thing that we do on a regular basis, rotating basis. We help your community respond to requests for information when GOED or other entities are looking, help tell stories and promote events and the businesses in your community as well, and so much more. We have a lot of year-round events too that help bring folks together and lift up economic activity in the region. What I really like about our organization too is that we can bring competitors into the same room. So a lot of our longstanding corporate partners are a lot of the utilities, so like the Midco and Blue Peaks. We got Xcel Energy and Sioux Valley Energy and East River Electric and different folks. Again, all part of around our table. So that's another benefit that we like. A lot of our events that we do too on an annual basis. We have our annual meeting coming up in March. We do a Minnehaha County bus tour. We do that in the other counties as well. That's been a long-standing thing to get the county commissioners and get invited folks to hop on a bus and go look at different industry and businesses and communities across the county and realize that Minnehaha County is not just Sioux Falls. And so that's something that's really important that gets opens a lot of eyes and brings some value as well. We do our Gold Shovel Golf Classic every June, and we rotate all of our events, we rotate across the metro into different communities to, again, get people to come see and visit.
You're cutting out, Tyler.
Oh, how about now? Can you still hear me okay?
Yep, you
Yep.
can now.
Okay. And then we do our annual growth summit in September, which tentatively we have scheduled to be in Baltic. That's a 2-day conference that's subject matter focused. So last September we did a 2-day conference on housing. We also do our monthly meetings, like our mayor's roundtable, which Mayor McIsaac, it was great to have you at that too. I appreciate you coming. It was good to meet you in person and to allow you to just kind of pick the brain of others. And there's a little bit of teasing, but yet some camaraderie in the region too. So we like doing those events for our mayors, looking to expand that in the future here to economic development professionals, doing kind of quarterly roundtables. Same thing with city admins and city managers, maybe even city planners and zoners too going forward for the region. So just providing that networking opportunity as well. And then our membership advisory board. So our team, we have a 10-person executive board. We have a 32-person membership advisory board that, every community has a member on and other partners. And really what it boils down to too is we want to be another tool in the toolbox for your community. I mean, you guys as the city leadership, you're responsible for the day-to-day operations of running the community. But in addition, you guys have to put out the little fires that come up as well. And, sometimes there's some things that community development, economic development things that are just in the background that maybe you just need a little bit of assistance to help do some of the research and connect the dots. We can do that with all of our resource and partners and our team to do that. So the last part I'll mention is I got my team hired up where we have Ryan Solberg, who's been around for going on 3 years now with our organization. Karen Rulin, who's a 30-plus year employee of the Sioux Falls Development Foundation that is helping us on a part-time basis for special events and administrative support. And then we also have Chris Fields, who we just hired on in January, and then Bryce Healy, who's last but not least, but he's a kind of a designated hitter for me too, who's there in the room. I'll let him introduce himself quick, and we'll stand by for any questions you have. Again, didn't want to take up too much of your time, but just really appreciate the opportunity to continue to build our relationship with our new team based on our roots and our 30-plus year history, but really with our eyes set on the future and the growth. I'll kick it to Bryce.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks, Mayor and Council. Bryce Healy. I'm from a very rural, small community like Baltic. I came from the Tri-Cities of Puckwonnet, Chamberlain, Oklahoma. So I'm very well aware of situated small communities. Love Baltic. I got to town early enough, had burger and fries. And then I found a new dealer in town for Girl Scout cookies just down the street. She ran me down in the gas station.
Good.
And I bought $20 for the Girl Scout cookies for her. To touch on just a couple of things that Tyler had mentioned, but also Mayor, you had, as I traveled to many of the surrounding communities that I talk about, and talk about what Sioux Metro growth, other than what Tyler alluded to, is the mayor's roundtable, which every community I go to, the mayors, because it's specifically a mayor roundtable, talk about the wonderful opportunity that gives. And I know from the first roundtable I was at last, and we as staff kind of let you just do your own thing, but sit in the background and listen. I took away a lot of great gems. We mentioned T earlier. One of them, the mayor of T, said, I got to get those roads plowed no matter what early in the morning because your community citizens, the taxpayers, that's all they care about.
And to which I said, we do.
Yeah. But then you alluded to something too about communication, about assessments and sidewalks. And I can tell you, this is other information that we can bring as a group to the communities, because I'm working with a community right now that did not do communications on some new assessments for their taxpayers. And now we are coordinating the meetings, if you would call them meetings,
between taxpayers, citizens and businesses because the community didn't do what you're talking about of making sure you communicate with your citizens how this proposal may go forward. So just a couple of highlights. You will, I understand the relationship. You're gonna get sick and tired of seeing me because I like Baltic. Now that I got a dealer as well, but glad to see me around. Thank you. Any questions? Tyler and I, Tyler's the expert, but I can take them all back and get answers to.
Price is definitely available for any questions. I've not hesitated to reach out to him at all. Tyler, thank you for your time.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
You guys have any questions? I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying thank you.
Well, I've got a concern. From years past, I haven't seen much work from SMGA towards Baltic. It's always been the bigger, small communities and they've grown substantially. There was never much emphasis on Baltic. Let's just say that's changed this time around.
Well, I appreciate the question. And again, it's a little tough for me to speak to some of the history we've been doing. I'll tell you, just being candid with you guys, because I think that you guys are pretty straight shooters. In my first couple of months leading this organization, it's apparent that we were lacking some of the getting to the core of our nonprofit mission, which is our members. And so that's why when Bryce says that you're going to be seeing us around, it's because we're making a dedicated effort to make sure that we're more in touch with the community. We're not just coming once a year to ask for membership renewal. We're coming because we want to know in and out. We want to come spend hours in the community and do the deep dive and understand what needs do your people want? What kind of growth do you want to see? We want to meet you where you are. Baltic has a rich history. You guys have your own identity. You don't want to be absorbed to Sioux Falls. And so how can we meet you where we are and help you, navigate that stuff? So again, I told you an example of a small business owner that wanted to move. We had one that came into our inbox today that we've been communicating with that, she told us where she's at, what she's looking for. And I'm interested in these 3 or 4 communities would work. Can you find me a building? Can you find me a spec place? Can you find me somewhere I can move my business, relocate my business to? We want to make sure that if it makes sense, we know in and out, we know Baltic, we know what you guys are interested in too. So that way we can help connect those dots. We want to help your community grow the way you want to grow. We want to be intentional about it. We don't want to just throw stuff at the wall and see if it sticks either. And that takes time. It takes building the relationship. And that's what we're committing to doing with the new team.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. I'll be seeing Chris.
That's the one.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bryce.
Okay. So on to Midwest District, the peddler's permit request.
He showed up.
Oh, okay, he's not here. Okay, then we will table that for now. And then we have the new utility processing. So just to give a little intro to that before Ms. Harrington takes that over, Lacey Branham and I have been working, more Lacey than I, on trying to get this G-Works up to speed. And that is a comprehensive software solution that we are implementing on the desktop version. But once everything is implemented, it will go to the cloud. And so Lacey has been working really hard on getting the accounting piece of it done, which is the accounts payable, accounts receivable. We just got payroll going on that. And then now we move on to utility billing, because again, as we had talked about, that's almost our sole revenue source for the city. So super important to do. So Miss Lacey Harrington entered about 533 different addresses over the last couple of days. And then Miss Branham came in to clean up the outliers, the fun, complicated ones. So it's been quite a team effort. The reason why I have Miss Harrington doing the, it's easier to call them by their last name, because if I keep saying Lacey, you're like, gonna know what I'm talking about. And so, what we wanted to do is just give you a sneak peek of what this is gonna look like, because what it will allow you to do is actually step into 2024. See, I know what year it is now. And actually be able to pay your bill online, set up auto bill online, go in with the login, see your account, see your history, that type of thing. And so the postcards will be going away. They will now be letters with windows. So it gives us an opportunity to add information into those. And Lacey got us a deal trying to figure out the right envelope with the right stamp. So it's going to be a better process. Your billing information will be confidential, not just sitting on a postcard for everybody to see. So that's kind of another bonus. And so what Ms. Harrington's gonna do is kind of walk us through what it's gonna look like from a citizen point of view.
I do a question.
No, no questions, Brian.
So the people that have auto pay right now, will that just go right over into it?
You know, we would love to say that it's just an automatic process, and so I guess it's been kind of an internal decision, and that's what G-Works is asking us. Do you want to just enter in everybody's billing information, or do you want the citizens to go in and enter their own? And there's pros and cons to both sides. Because if we enter in that information and it's wrong, there's that. If people enter their own information in, then they immediately get familiar with the system. And then they trust it more.
And they also have the opportunity not to just use their checking or savings account with their routing and an account number. But you can also put it on your Discover card, whatever. You can,
There's a lot more.
any method of payment option is available.
It's like I said, 2024 now in our utility system, which is kind of exciting. So it's like paying your bill like you pay any other bill. Anything else from you, Brett?
Well, I feel underprepared. So this is kind of more just like how to
Just
get into there, but I don't have anything on like what it looks like yet, but just what it looks like to start an account.
Sure.
So this is kind of what I'm thinking. We'll have a video that we'll have for the citizens so that they know how to set this up. And then we'll also have like a infographic that they can pick up or we can mail out if they want. So that it's easier for them, but it's very user friendly. It's not hard to do. So first, when we get the website, you'll go on and it'll ask, this is where you log in, and then it'll ask you to create an account. Everyone will have to have their account number, so they'll have to get that from us. I'm not sure, we'll probably have to think about how we want to get that out, because it won't be the same account number as that you have now. It's similar.
I got this. So, what will happen more than likely is when we send out the very first bill, which will more than likely be this month, there will be an additional sheet to it that we will have. First of all, your new bill will have your new account number on it.
Mhm.
And then we'll have a step-by-step attached to it for those people that need to read. For the people that want to watch, we'll have a video available on the city's YouTube site, and we'll refer to that. We'll put it on Facebook, so everybody will have that. And we'll put it on the city's website as well. So we'll have a video to walk you through it. We'll have written directions. And we'll have it all over social media. And then if you really have questions, you can call in and we'll try to get you some help. Or you can come down to City Hall and we can help you register. Okay, so those are all the different ways we're gonna get that done for you. So that way, if you're wondering what's my email address on my water bill, because I did it 17 years ago and I have no idea, all that information will already be on your bill when you get it. So you can see exactly what it is. You can go in there and then create your account, and then you can go in and edit your information too, if you need to then.
Yes. And so then after you enter that, it's going to ask you if you're already receiving utility bills. You'll enter that account number that you're given and your address. If there is payment information associated with the utility account that they're claiming, the public user will be asked to verify the payment information, in which we probably aren't going to have in. But once that's entered, if they're putting the same, let's say they're using the same bank account, if they rent houses out in town, they're using the same bank account for all those, it'll link all those accounts together. And so that's really nice for those people that are going in to pay multiple accounts.
So you can appreciate why we really don't want to enter everybody's banking information, because they have to go in and verify it and put it in anyway. So we just assume that everybody puts their own in, basically.
So yeah, that's kind of this. So then after that, each person entering will get an email to verify their email address, which is
standard.
Yeah, and that's good, because then if they do enter a mistake and they don't get the email, we can back out of it, redo it. But once they verify, they click the link and verify, they can log in. It's that simple. And then I also added something in here. Why wasn't I able to create an account? Just because, you know, if they're receiving any errors, then hopefully this will help figure out if one of these issues pertains to them.
So we're gonna try really hard to be in front of this, so it's not too much of a shock. And all we have to do, our next step as a city is to figure out what our next domain is. This functionality also has a website, and we're evaluating how much of that we want to use versus what we currently have, because we still have another year of our website contract. So what we might end up using is just the link to get to the utilities and the link to get to front office, while we continue to use our proper baltic.govoffice.com email or website address. And so we'll have all this information available. This isn't the only time you're gonna see it. It's gonna be in your face as much as Bryce Healy's gonna be in Baltic. And so, everybody should be well prepared. But it is very exciting for our city to move into the modern world. Yes.
Once you get logged into this, not only can you access your utilities, but if you need to get a building permit, you can submit your plan online with your request. And if we approve it, we can reply back to you and say, this is how much your building permit will be, and you can pay it online. Come and pick up your permit, we'll mail it out to you. You can, licensing, any of it, any sort of, form that we have in City Hall, you'll have access to online.
Except voter registration.
It's correct, yes. And also, there can be, if you have a question, you can have back and forth communication as well. And instead of.
And we're gonna tell everybody to email Brian McGree, because apparently he's got a lot of time on his hands. So.
It's still in effect.
As soon as we get it all uploaded,
Yeah.
taken a little.
I spent all weekend putting these addresses in. so
They
hopefully
ladies have been killing it and knocking it out of the park and getting this done for everybody so we can move into the new millennia. So thank you very much for all of your work.
This will be the first month that we do the billing from it, so I would guess hopefully by the March billing, we should have all of it.
Okay, so we're talking about the first month billing, right? Are we gonna talk about that later? Or do we want to talk about that now? What do we want to do?
You know, if you go for it.
So one of the things that we were thinking about to incentivize people to bill online is, remember when we said that we wanted people to go online for their first bill, we give them a $20 credit or whatever that was. Remember when we did that?
Yeah.
Do we want to consider the same kind of incentive for everybody to log into this new system and get on the online billing rather than paying a check? They get some kind of incentive.
I think $20 incentive was pretty well received.
Yeah.
Very.
Good push for everybody to.
And that's basically our profit, isn't it? Kind of a little bit. And so, I mean, we'll take a dip if everybody gets registered. That's a 1 month dip's what our revenue is. But I think it's worth it if it's automated. I mean,
I got a question for you. So, I had this conversation with a contractor today. So are we paying, fees to the bank if we go online and pay it versus dropping off a check and you taking it to the bank?
My understanding,
we're gonna have to get back to you on that, because I know there's gonna be a fee for a credit card for sure.
mhm,
But I don't know if there's gonna be a direct billing fee. We're gonna have to take a look at that. Great.
Have like a 3% service charge or something here.
We don't know. We don't know.
similar to how it is right now.
Is there a service fee on it right?
If you do the ACH, where it's auto, there's none.
Because that's drawn straight from the account.
Right, if you log on to
Oh, yeah.
utilities, then
Yeah.
But we'll put that in the information, so everybody knows up front,
Okay.
just so we're sure. Yeah, since we're sure. Okay, any other questions? Lacey, did you put anything else on there? Or did we cut your short, or was that it?
Nope, just the end smart word, no, nothing else.
Okay,
Sorry.
when you did that, did you share that on the, Teams meeting, or is it just everybody in the room that
I,
can see it?
I think it's just everyone in the room.
That's okay.
So I
So
will
we'll
put it,
share, we'll share that. The people that are at home watching, we'll make sure this gets on the website so you can see the screenshots that she had. And then once we have it up and running and live, we'll do a mock registration so that way you can see that. Okay? So, yeah,
What happens to people who are not going to have the techno savvy to go in and sign up, or maybe they don't have a computer at home, or they don't have a smartphone or
right.
whatever. What are you guys gonna do with it?
Well, what we said is that we would send everybody their bill. They can either choose to go to whatever their normal computer source is, or they can come down to City Hall if they need help. So we're happy to help people that maybe don't have a computer at their house, or they want to just continue to write a check for their bill, they can do that too.
you'd be surprised how many people have shown up with their iPad or their laptop and they're like, I just can't get this figured out. So we'd sit down, get it all looked up,
walk through the steps. I didn't want to take you for granted. No, it's happened quite a few times.
Well, I heard McGreevy,
Saying.
Otherwise, we'll just tell them to call Brian McGreevy.
yeah, I heard McGreevy volunteered.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a tech savvy guy.
yeah, he sure isn't. He is not the one you want to call for Doug. He's not. Everything else, yes. Right?
Everybody's got a flaw, right?
Everything else, but, okay, cool. So,
Okay.
you good? Yeah, you good? Cool. Okay,
That's a great.
so, coffee with council, guys, it's time again. We love coffee with council. And so, typically we've done this on a Saturday, we do it in the morning. With all these things on our plate about, the CIP and all that kind of stuff, that's kind of a fun topic too, asking people what they want. Sidewalks is a fun topic to talk about what they want. And, so we have lots of things to talk to our citizens about. What was the other thing I forgot?
Chickens.
No, that's this Saturday.
Oh, yeah, and then also with the city rummage going up and cleanup days, that's also a hot topic for a lot of people. So if we wanted to do those kind of discussion topics, I think people would want to pop in and give us their 2 cents. So what month are we thinking? This month, next month?
I
What are we
would say
thinking?
March.
I would
I
say,
think, yeah, you guys are cautious spring.
When was our last one? Was it like October?
October 7th.
October, November, December, January, February, March. So then we're gonna do this every 6 months. Is that what we're thinking?
We can do it for your field team. I think that's what we did last time, was the 6 month.
I think March is a great time.
I know Easter's the 31st, so,
Okay, but
Probably
we
not the
can't
30th.
do it the 31st.
or the 30th, I would say.
30th, yeah, don't do it
It's
the 30th.
9, 16 or 23.
Ah,
I would say that, the meeting is the week,
If we do
is
it,
the 12th.
if we do it over St. Patty's Day, can we have green beer?
You know, I think,
I'm gonna ask.
I think you're right, though, we should do it what about the ninth, before the
ninth.
meeting,
The 9th is, yeah, that'd be a good one. right there,
Before
right before
the-
meeting.
before
Yeah.
the council meeting.
Because the meeting's gonna be on the
So we don't
12th.
come from the 12th,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
on the 9th,
Yeah,
so we got feedback. we can-
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think it's for. For sense.
9 to 11, when do we usually?
Yeah, that's usually what we do.
Can I do it? Somebody else? Night? Be the 10th.
Or
No, I'm looking at February.
is that night work for everyone?
That works for me.
Yes.
You can all go to meet bingo that night too.
Yes.
Okay.
So what are we thinking for time?
9/11.
9/11? Okay. Oops.
We don't want to make it too early.
Oh, no.
Just saying.
Good thinking.
9 to 11,
Brian, what are you making?
On the 9th.
I'm sorry.
What are you making?
I'm bringing just regular old coffee and donuts from Hy-Vee. How about you?
I think that's perfect.
You want me to make, you want me to make an egg bake? I'll make an egg bake.
Yeah, that's how.
Is that what I did last time?
I wanted to-
I think Holly made that last time.
I think you did.
Yeah, it was good.
Krispy Kreme.
All right, all right.
Respective aldermen of what you want to see at coffee with council and they'll go right
On the 9th.
March 9th. And so, okay. And we already handled grass tax, so that's done. Look at us flipping through this. Citywide cleanup. We talked to Garbage and Ward about getting dates. Have we heard anything yet or not?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I have April 27th, May 18th, or June 1st. Graduation was on May 11th, so that weekend was out. Del Rapids has not put out their date that I can find yet for their citywide rummages. But last year, I think they were the 13th through the 15th of June.
What was it, April 27th?
Traditionally, I think we've tried to do it before graduation, haven't we? You remember what last year was?
We did it before graduation.
Traditionally, I think that's what we tried.
It was too early last year. I was slammed with complaints about it being so early.
Yeah.
I guarantee you know
There's,
it's gonna be,
there's,
no matter what date we.
there's going to be 2 camps about this. There's gonna be the people that want to clean out their garages for graduation.
Mhm.
And then there's gonna be the people that want to do it the day, that we have the citywide rummage sale, so anything they don't sell, they can take it to the citywide cleanup. Those are gonna be your two camps of people that are gonna voice their opinion. There's no way to make both camps happy.
I looked, I think back through 2017 and it has been as across the board as you can be. May, June, April, I mean.
Well,
like-
because it depends on garbage availability.
You're at their mercy of what days that they can get,
Exactly.
who gets their dates in, so.
Okay, when is graduation? June what?
May 11th.
May 11th, excuse me.
I think that's a little early.
All right,
I think it's
so
gonna be cold for a rummage sale.
when is the rummage sale?
Usually the first weekend in June, right?
Well, it's been, okay, so last year, let's see, last year we had it in. Oh. April last year. I feel like last year we planned it after graduation because people said before graduation was too soon. But if we go into, so maybe the June 1st date would be the best. I don't. Maybe,
What,
maybe you guys want to send out. Well,
Oh,
No.
no. What about the 15th of June?
That's not a.
That wasn't, that's cool.
I think the member
Yeah.
meeting.
I usually make this. Yeah.
Well, just having a rummage sale, I don't like to sit in the cold.
You're just not sure what you're gonna get that time of year. You might get 80, you might get 30.
No,
Right.
I think in the past, it was always the community rummage was
Yep.
the weekend before, cleanup was that whole week, and graduation was almost the weekend right after. I mean, they were so timed because everybody didn't want to put whatever they weren't going to, didn't sell in the rummage, they didn't want to put away, so they threw it on.
But do you want that sitting somewhere before garbage and more gets to it
But
during?
that's where you'd have to, if you want to try something like that, but that's it, if you're doing a rummage, the weather is so hard to say, just do it too early.
Yeah,
Is it worth?
Okay,
does
so
Sally do the,
They did the citywide rummage,
not heard any.
May 4th, 5th, and 6th of 2023.
He hasn't.
So that's when they did it, was May 4th, 5th, and 6th of
That was
2023.
because graduation was on Mother's Day weekend.
And they did it the same weekend that Del Rapids did it, so they tried to coordinate it. So then that was in 2023. And then, in 2022, we did June 9th to the 11th. So in 2022, we did, 6, 9 to the 11th. In 2023, we did,
Say you just let Brian Potts make a call.
I like that.
Third year in a row.
I got nothing, so.
Also, May 27th, if you look at the June 1st date, May 27th is Memorial Weekend. So maybe that June 1st date won't give people enough time to get things in order.
well, in June 3rd to the 5th was when it was in 2021. So you have June 3rd to the 5th, May 4th to the 6th, and June 9th to the 11th. So it's all over the place. But if we have to choose between April 27th is too early, no matter what.
you said citywide rummage was early May last year?
In
It was-
2021, it was June 3rd to the 5th. And then in 2022, if I do. 2022 was June 9th to the 11th. And then 2023 was May 5th or May 4th through the 6th.
I don't know, just, I mean, thinking gut shot is, I think the 18th after graduation might be the best. Just because if you're doing the final cleanup on all the crap from getting your garage cleaned up and all the crap from your graduation and it's finally getting nice out, obviously your weather's a lot more stable that time of year.
Well, and the thing is we'll definitely want to piggyback citywide rummage with cleanup day then. Since we're not, necessarily taking, graduation into consideration, we definitely want to do citywide rummage then. May 18th typically is a good time to do citywide rummage.
Macy, is that an option? May
May
18th?
18th, yes.
Okay.
That's for the cleanup date, right?
But then we would probably want to
So
run
rummage would be
inside.
before that.
Well, yes. Well, okay, so then there's that problem is the weekend before his graduation.
Too soon?
I can see if I think she said the 25th is already taken.
Well, the 25th is too close to Memorial.
Memorial, that's
Yeah.
right, because it's Memorial Week.
And so,
What was the June date again?
June 1st.
And we can't have people just setting their stuff out there
No.
for a week.
No.
I didn't ask for any dates beyond June.
think you want to do it that way.
I don't think you want to do
I
that.
think you want to.
Get it too late for the.
I think the April 27th and May 18th would be the date. I just don't know which ones.
When do
I
you
like
think,
May because
I
April
like
can
May
still
too.
be, we've had a
be
really
so-
weird winter.
Yeah.
But a lot of snowy, slushy Aprils there.
yeah,
Well, I think June 1st is right time.
Okay, so typically we do driveway carnival the second Saturday of June. So that
Okay.
means we would have citywide rummage,
I don't do.
citywide cleanup, and then the next weekend would be driveway carnival, which is fine with me. I don't care. I just usually second Saturday's driveway carnival. So we can have a double shift. with June.
Sorry.
We just need to talk about it right now and.
Sooner,
Well, I'm assuming that there's other
Yeah.
towns probably getting the same dates, so we probably need to make a decision, right?
She does have a few people that have already booked their times.
Yeah, I think we should decide on it,
We have,
so that we don't lose it.
yeah, you guys, we have to decide tonight. We have to pick a date. So do you want May 18th or do you want June 1st? And then we'll get in contact with the people that do citywide rummage and say, this is our cleanup day.
Do we want to try to use this as setting a precedent on how we want to do it going forward? Mid-May is hard to do because if you're getting pushed back, and that can always work into graduation, if it happens to not fall on the right weekend. We want to always try to aim for the last week in April. We want to always try and aim for.
First Saturday.
It'd be great if it was always like the fourth Saturday or the third Saturday of whatever month you choose. It'd be great to just say.
First
this is
Saturday.
when you-
Well, can we do that? I mean, we just come
Then
to
keep it
schedule
up,
and tell them, put us on the same
Because
dates
it's
next year.
too early, it's too cold, it's too wet, and all you're gonna have is a lot of unhappy.
And May is tricky because Memorial Day dumps all over the place.
So,
So does graduation.
so my word is final then,
so
right?
June,
First Saturday in June.
yeah, I'd be okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
Work here.
First Saturday in June,
I don't
Which is
care.
June first.
this year.
We can just shoot for it.
First week.
Let's
of
take a look
June
at it,
every
we
year.
shoot for it, maybe we just look at advanced dates. So make a note that we'll check with Beverly more and see what the first Saturday in June looks like, because then we can double dip June. It's gonna be great for an activity calendar to say that we have rummage sales, citywide cleanup, and then the next weekend is driveway carnival.
The
You
first,
know what I mean? So,
the first Saturday in June is June 1st, and that date is that's open for them.
right, but I'm just saying for future
Yeah.
planning, well, let's take a
Okay,
look at
but-
that and check with them.
Devil's advocate, because you know me. If you have citywide cleanup on June 1st, that's Saturday.
Yes, and they're going to have to look at that,
Hours are they going to set?
whatever hours they give us, that, we don't have a choice on this.
That, but I mean, that was the thing last year.
But that's,
If people are having a rummage
But
sale
that-
on June
that-
1st, they can't get their stuff there.
there's
that morning.
nothing we can
If
do about
you're-
that because Garbage and More is not gonna work on Sunday.
And
It's
garbage,
a Saturday
I'm not
morning.
asking them to.
and they
Yeah, but-
are also coordinating with the landfill to get all their stuff out.
So we don't control the time,
100% at the mercy of Garbage More.
100%.
But they want it to be a Saturday, not
It
a
has to
Monday or
be.
Tuesday.
It has to
It
be.
has to be a Saturday. You were, as part of our contract, you were allotted your garbage contract and they give you one Saturday in the window of spring to early summer. You get to pick your whatever, once it comes out, you pick your available date. That's the date you get.
Well, and
You
they
don't get two
It's
Saturdays.
rostering week, so they aren't gonna
Mind
want.
you, how many other times they worked with it, they gotta try and work this in too, it's always spring cleanup, so, you know, so many people work into so many weeks. And obviously, they don't wanna work every Saturday, so
No,
that's why, yeah, it's every year, it's honestly, we're just, it's whatever day we pick, and that's however they wanna do it.
So the other way to look at that is you could have citywide rummage sale the weekend before, but then that'll be Memorial Day.
Memorial Week.
So, I mean, at this point, I think it's just a bonus if you happen to get, citywide rummages even close to.
You can park your vehicle outside for one. Just leave the stuff in the garage. I leave my truck all outside all summer long. But that's.
and nobody
Yeah,
goes.
it's a beautiful blue truck too, so.
Nobody goes to rummages Saturday because
It's already, it's, you know, rummage sales start on like Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So by Saturday, it's done. If you're trying to do a Friday, Saturday rummage sale, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So,
It's
okay,
actually Thursday after work and all day.
June 1st it is, yes?
Yep.
Is there anyone that cannot live with June 1st? Because going once, going twice?
I just need to know where I bring my stuff.
Oh my God. You're gonna have to take a residency where only 12 takes citizens get to do city mic. Thank you for pointing that out. Bryce Healy does not get to bring us stuff.
If you buy a house between now and
Yeah,
then,
if you buy a house, you can.
We're gonna be.
Or a business. Business.
We're gonna say everybody but Bryce Healy. Okay, we're done with that. The equalization meeting, date, confirmed training and attendance. Equalization's back, we love this. So we need like, what, 2 representatives? Travis, you're the expert on this. Can you tell us how this all goes?
Equalization meeting, everybody's gotta be there for.
Yeah,
it.
everybody.
There's training this year, though. Isn't there training this year?
Usually go down to the county and
Yeah.
pick up your booklet and
I've never done it, but I think there's always training material available if you want to, or if you want to call Chris Will and ask. you
I
know,
think
what are the
it's
resources.
super smart for all of us to do that.
This is, I think
Nobody
this is
showed up.
their,
there was.
the email I sent out was either you can go there or you can watch the Zoom.
Yeah, there's, I think, that, yeah, in person and then.
We're trying
Do we need to set our equalization date tonight?
Do we set it yet? Lacey, or do
We
we
have not
get
set
ready?
it yet.
Do we need to?
Well, it's in March, so
Has to be the has to be, there's 5 days you can choose from. Has to be in that
that
stretch,
week.
March,
pretty sure.
Tuesday, March 5th.
Well, five's even down yet.
Uh-oh. We gotta check on this.
Yeah, no, they're.
No, I don't believe you.
A little weird.
No, I'm prepared.
My daughter makes really good pinwheels. With
March 23rd.
she puts them up to the bar. Where's your pinwheel? I saw it. I just want
Tuesday.
the
Can't do it. Well, you can do it generally in the.
What if you
Maybe I'll have a summer party and we'll do that.
Can't do it unless they-
Okay, so we're
If I get
looking
my-
at set dates to potentially set a date for equalization. Is that what we're doing?
Zoom meeting is on February 6th.
Really?
3 o'clock.
February 16th,
For the Zoom meeting,
okay?
February 16th, 3 P M.
3 p.m.
3 p.m. Oh my God, that's like
That's
this
like,
week.
for us, it's like Friday.
Yeah.
This week I've got. Well, I'll have to watch it on my phone. Well,
16th.
I wouldn't say, it's not necessarily a deal breaker, I don't think, if you can go or look at it, but I mean, if you can look up, like, she sent some good information and just on the background of the equalization process, which is fine. Just so you kind of know what the purpose of it is, but.
well, I've done it, but it's been 20
Yeah, we
years.
didn't have to do one last year, surprisingly.
Yeah, no one came forward.
Well, I bet you go this year.
I thought sure it was last year.
Actually, the school put out, the tax levy and the impacts, and that, handout is supposed to be on the school's website. So you can actually see, and she said something about how the amount went down a nickel per
Per
thousand.
thousand.
So it actually dropped 1 nickel per thousand. It's what I swore she
Don't
said.
spend all that nickel all in one spot.
You know, then you got, you know, expensive houses. I mean, at
Okay.
least a cup of coffee, so.
It's all the nickels. Yeah,
I have the third Monday in March. What the municipal calendar says, but I think in the past we've done it anytime that.
Anytime that we generally try to do it earlier, but we've always done it in the past. I think traditionally we had done the Tuesday of that week.
Which week again? I'm sorry.
third,
March 18th through,
well,
yeah,
our meeting is the week before on the 12th.
correct.
So that week, I'm,
Last year I thought.
actually, I think,
Or,
no, that's not just that month. Never mind, wrong month. I knew there was a holiday in there
On
somewhere.
the 19th.
Yeah, 19th.
That way it gives us a day of prep.
Yeah, 19th,
We do 6 o'clock.
please.
All right, so we go board with equalization. Nineteenth at 6 p.m.
6 o'clock, John, not 7. No.
Yeah, who comes late?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's that, Cindy?
And I'll call the school to get their representative.
That'd be great.
As well.
Perfect. Okay, any other information on that one? Okay, so now since we're talking about meeting times, we looked at, state statute 9-8-8. Says that by state statute, the city municipalities, especially those with older uniform, or I don't know if it's anyone, but, we, generally speaking, they meet the first Monday of the month unless you write an ordinance that says otherwise, okay? So Baltic wrote an ordinance that said they want their council meetings the second Tuesday of the month at 7 PM. It's in the law, okay? So I'm going to propose that we remove the time from that. So we can meet whenever it makes sense, because sometimes 7 o'clock gets really late. And, March 18th. Yep, 6 PM. And so I would like to propose altering the ordinance, just to remove the time. Still keep it at the second Tuesday, but not dictate the time. The state ordinance doesn't dictate a time. I don't think the local ordinance should, and sometimes 7 works. Sometimes 6 works, sometimes 5 works. But if it's in the ordinance at 7, it kind of locks us. So since we're gonna be rewriting all these ordinances, I want to get your thought. Please discuss.
Would you put it as a no earlier than 5 PM type phrase? That way you're not, somebody can't say, well, you're gonna make a appointment or gonna make a meeting at noon on a day that I can't make it. Just to eliminate any,
You know, they have to have a quorum as a council anyway,
right,
and they have to make it public anyway. My response to that is I can't imagine a council would ever like purposely have,
I can't.
or could even physically able to have quorum anything sooner than 5 anyway.
You just need some.
Unless there's some futuristic world that I can't visualize where people don't work, you know. I don't know. So I don't know if we need to say after 5 o'clock, and because sometimes also when we meet, especially for like, budgeting and stuff, we do meet. So, I don't know.
And
Good
the
thought.
ordinance is just for the regular scheduled meeting.
Yeah, it does say regularly scheduled. I was just following along the state statute because it doesn't dictate time. Is really where I was coming from on that.
I'm on board with getting rid of the time altogether.
I am too.
Agree.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, I'll bring you a draft. With that struck.
Yes.
We're gonna strike it.
Action.
We're gonna strike it.
There you
Get that strike feature going. And we're gonna do
go.
it. Yeah, all of it. And spell check it, John, would you please? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, campground, what do we got?
There,
Campground?
This was a you. Yeah.
Well, I said, shouldn't we start talking about the campground because it's coming around the bend, isn't it?
So was that the start of it?
When do you start thinking about this?
Wow, you're slipping.
Campground.
I'm tired.
Mhm.
I'm tired.
what kind of shape did I run?
Need some money.
So let's go.
Oh my gosh.
Do you have a shopping list for the campground?
Well, yes, I do.
What did you share with us?
Or there's 3 damaged power boxes out there. That'd be $1,000 to replace. Total, they're like $300 a piece.
Mhm.
Hubers is really good with working with us on doing that stuff. There's a couple old ash trees that are, about ready to come down, so I'm going off of what Rapids, if you go to any of the landscape places, you can buy a 2 to 3 inch tree. They're right around that $300 to $400 piece. So if you do 4 new trees, you're $1,000 to $1,500. And those are 3 inch trees, so they're 12 foot tall at least. Because the ones we have out there, one's topped, I think.
Yeah, there's some ugly trees.
They just snap the tree tops off of it. One's about this tall.
Well, remember we had that storm
Well,
and, the cleanup was arduous. Remember the campground was closed for a while, so it's probably better to get in front of that before Nature takes it down anyway and then slows us up. Or it lands on somebody's camper or something crazy like that.
They're there for shade, pretty good. Some of them we've trimmed up a little bit. Look at replacing the signs for each of the spots. Do we like where they're out on the post? Everything's online, so a lot of times we try to at least notice if they're used. But since two sites share a utility box, it's hard to really label on the utility box, like
Right.
this is 10, this is 11, so we won't.
Can we add a user? So no, so that way each spot has its own.
Well, we could at $300 a piece.
Yeah.
With that, but then you have 4 breakers there, and then I'd say the risk is you're gonna have to try to have 4 campers. People try to squeeze so many campers in there. We're limited on power out there. There is, if it's on. It happened 8 years ago when it was a 100-degree weekend and everybody was plugged in and every spot was full. It tripped one of the main breakers because how it was wired back in the day, there's like 4 pedestal boxes on one line. There's 6 on the other, and then there's like 8 on one line. So that's just, but the way the way the wiring is it just goes zigzags through there. So that one's a hard one to fix. So then I just guesstimated, I don't know what, I'd probably just go over to sign design. Bolton and see if they could just make new signs. And then we'd make a new couple big signs. And they're the ones that did the big signs 10 years ago, whatever. And we just put updated information on that. So those are pretty expensive, but I mean, they could do that too.
Can we, when we have that welcome sign, can we have a place to put flyers in that? So that way we can have information about the city when they come? And then can there be a sign on the back that says, thanks for coming, come again, or something like
Even
that?
on the main sign.
Is that what you're
I,
talking?
no, I'm talking about their signs in the campground.
Oh,
Signs that give the campground rules
got it.
and shows the map of the campground.
Isn't it kind of important to mark the reserved campsites as reserved? Because isn't there kind of didn't we have some territory issues about people saying, well, there's nothing here, so I can camp here, right? And
We
so-
do that usually Friday, unless
Okay.
it's a holiday weekend, and then we try to do it.
Okay,
Or whenever the holiday falls, we try to do that every week.
okay, sure.
You're also not talking about eliminating the number posts at the beginning of each spot, though, right?
No, we'll keep those. We
Yeah.
just won't put any kind of utility box, because I mean, the way we have it is they share a box. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
You can't really,
How are we doing for, fire pits?
there are 7 campfire rings that are not out there. They're on the east side, which is the side with about the least amount of land. So when
How bad is the river that way?
that's not too bad on that side. It's just narrow from where the driveway. So we could get 7 campfire rings. It's just laying it out, and the main thing is to lay it out with gravel paths. So then we'd have 8 spots that we'd have to gravel. You know, it's like, this is where you're supposed to park, but they won't, but.
Got it. So you do the best they can.
Yeah, and then that way,
That
if we did those spots, then we could put the campfire ring where we feel is the best spot.
Got it, okay.
And then,
I'm trying to.
touching up the pads that are there, we take some gravel. And then the road around the campground and then put into the campground. And I'd say that's where you set up dollar amount that you want to spend. Because I bet you there's probably 6 belly dumps in the campground itself that it could be used. I mean, because it's.
How much is that?
How much of that?
A lot.
Probably like $3,600. And then for the driveway, probably spend 15,000 all the way out to the.
Can we just, break the driveway?
I've done that. What I've done last year is I get haul materials here and then I just fill the potholes in the back.
It's so flat.
It's actually concave, so the water sits in there.
There's no crown to the road.
You really can't, I don't think. you can.
No, and I mean, and literally, we won't get any crown, but there's really, everything's packed in there so tight, there isn't really anything to
Okay.
rejuvenate it the way it is right now. But that's it. I mean, like, it was been done 10 years ago when we had 2012, I bet you was the last time we did it, when we had the last flood done. So, but that's it. It's how much money do you guys want to spend? Do you just want to work on the campground?
Well, how much do we have?
Yeah. We don't have a lot. I mean,
Right.
so if I figured it's $3,000 just to do the maintenance of the campground facilities. So trees, a couple, 4 trees, new signs. Signs might be a little bit more, they might be 1,000, so it's probably 3,000 just to do that, not including in gravel.
What do we have within budget?
That I don't know. I
Right now.
don't think we had budgeted anything.
And remember, it's because we're right in the middle of systems, so it's not that we don't know, it's just that it would take a little bit to figure it out this second.
Yeah,
So,
to pull up the,
I think
if you
that's
wouldn't have bought all that equipment, we'd probably have money for this.
Mhm.
What happens to the chip seal? That box? Oh, I understand. But what happens to it when they're done and you sweep it up? What happens to the pile? Do you save it for anything or?
They, whatever clean materials they say.
Right, they take the clean, but what about the sweepings?
Garbage. It's just waste material.
So there's too much garbage in the, mixed in with the rock?
No, it's just you put if you put too thin, yeah, you can blend it,
Well,
but
that's what I was gonna get to was
you can
that,
blend it.
that pink rock could be reused, it'd be dusty, but you could reuse that for the dry.
But then, yeah, you do probably one load of chip seal you'd have to do 2 loads of 3/4 down to get it up. If not more, I mean, cause it's like anything, it's pretty much, if you get it too thick, it's not drivable by vehicles, cars mainly, so. We can use it, I just pile it or waste it, so.
Right. I was just trying to think of a way to reuse the
Reuse it.
material that the over the spillage and all, you know.
What do we have for, like, what's our authority down there? Cause I know last year, was it last year, or year before, we had that guy that was down there for a couple of weeks or a month.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was. Do we have sheriff's office patrol there while they're in town?
They go through, but we pushed them hard last year and they would not do anything.
They pretty much said they weren't able
Correct.
to, right? Unless
They didn't have a
could prove it was
license, right?
stolen or.
Well, I think he had, going crazy.
We can make it.
We can make that.
You can make it part of the ticketing book.
Let's make sure we make a note of that, so we can at least have that as a discussion point in the ticketing book, please.
Just 'cause I know there's been problems and that was.
Right.
There were a lot of people that are pretty upset. over
Yours
it.
actually, yeah, a lot.
Crazy down there.
Lacey,
And I don't know if it's worth having a host. Do you designate somebody as the campground host for the year?
We tried that and.
Larry Conrad used to do that.
He was just a
He'd come
Ranger.
check it.
Yeah.
Go down there with golf cart.
I think so.
Winchell's or whatever.
Yeah,
They stayed there.
they give them a park ranger t-shirt, and then, yeah, we did have like a park sponsor. So we had a frequent flyer that would keep an eye on things and let us know if anything was going outside.
Yeah, and you know, I go down there often and we play this park and go cruise around the golf cart, just to kind of keep an eye on things anyways, but. You know, if it was worth having somebody designated to be
Do
the
you want to be
oversight.
the park ranger? Is that what you're saying?
It is way.
We can get you a Yogi Bear t-shirt.
My hands on, gonna get a nice flat bill hat.
That would be awesome. That, oh, we can get you a megaphone.
We put,
Sure.
put lights on my golf cart, and my dock.
They'll see you coming a while away.
What I can plan to do is just the basics, like what I named off first, and then gravel where needed.
I think it's general upkeep. yearly.
Yeah, and it is, it's just, it hasn't been done since 2012. I mean, you figure
Oh,
about 12 years of really no gravel put in.
So what'd you say, it was 3,000 to do basic upkeep and then 3,000 to do those drops in the campground, is that what?
That's just the driveway and campground, there's wicked bad spots in there.
Okay, so you're looking at like 6, is what you're saying?
Your gravel spots would be probably 2 loads to a spot, or, 1 load to 2 spots almost, it depends on how.
So you need like 6,000?
Yeah, but we don't have to do everything, people still park on the grass. It's just something to get started. Same thing with campfire rings, that goes through, Pheasant Lands, then we could order those, but you don't even remember the cost of those.
So why don't you guys, my recommendation would be, let's give them $6,000 to play with to get the park up to speed. And then Lacey, if you see any red alerts that we don't have that available for any reason, then let us know. And then we can make any adjustments next month, either for more or less. But I'd say up to 6 right now, unless there's a red flag. But I don't think there's gonna be a red flag on this one particular, 6 grand. So that's my recommendation. What do you guys wanna do?
That's perfectly acceptable.
We can see what's in budget,
I think it's 2012, but I'm sure there's work to be done.
and the thing is I think we set aside money for playground equipment
Right.
and we can move that around. I mean,
So do we have to have a motion to give him up to $6,000 to sign agreements or whatever he needs to with those contracts and
I
stuff?
think that amount you need.
I wouldn't have to get contracts and everything's just small dollar amounts, like I said, 1,000, it'd be probably. One thing I'll have to look at spending is for the wood chips for all those playgrounds.
Yes.
That's, like I said, that's like, I think I got bid and it was $6,000 for a boat. And I mean, 1 load probably get us started. I don't know, we need 2 loads, so.
Why don't you work with, Ms. Moran? Find out, estimate what you're gonna need, so in the next meeting, you can come to us with a hard number, by then we should have budgets figured out. And we'll be able to see where we stand on that, so we can make an educated decision rather than what we're doing right now, which is a reasonable guess.
Ryan,
Mhm.
have you ever spoken with Rainbow PlayStation about their wood chips?
That's.
I haven't, but I don't know, I think where we go through a wholesaler is the engineered, I think they would, what we get is cheaper than I think.
Well, I don't know that free can be beat. You might want to check with Rainbow PlayStations and see if, since it's a city park in close proximity, if they would be willing to make a donation.
Ooh, do it. We'll put a sign up. Weekly bond for sponsorships. For
I mean,
sponsorships.
they donate everything for the state fair and different things like that.
That'd be interesting.
Brian, I want to take the dig out that St. Olaf mill plaque on that big old chunk of concrete down by the mill and relocate that across the river.
Oh, I knew you were gonna bring that
I
up.
want to do that.
And now you want that.
It's in there though. Well, we can get at it.
It is,
It's,
we would have to talk to the landowner if they would be. willing.
right, which it's LG and I'm sure they would have.
No, it's not LG. It's
Is that on
Leaper
the
Graphs. Yep.
Okay.
So,
What do you
So-
think about that?
yeah,
I don't know what John's got that change or if that's.
I don't know.
Where the-
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was like the Minnehaha Historical Society probably is the one that probably placed it. I guess it
It's
should
down
have.
there on the bottom.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't, I think it's actually a city function that put it up.
Okay,
Since, committee or something like that.
could be. So then, yeah, so I'm not sure, but
Just thinking, it's such a disservice to have that thing sitting down there being vandalized and
Which,
wasting away.
call and just see what his thoughts are.
Who?
Mr. Bertrand. Or would you like to delegate that to somebody? Okay, we'll talk about it. Okay. All
I
right,
don't know if Brian figured out what I was saying.
anything else? Campground? I'm glad I brought it up. This was fun.
So just the motion.
Oh, we didn't bring up fireworks, did we? We're doing fireworks next month.
Next one.
Okay, so next month we're bringing up fireworks. So everybody just think about their boom booms and what they want to do. So then we gotta figure that out.
Give me a motion for six.
We don't need to sell split up. We're all split up. We're good to go. Okay, anything else on campground? Okay, that was super fun. All right, now we got PTO donation request. So, okay, so Baltic PTO, the carnival's coming up. What they're looking for is donations, product donations, merchandise, gift card, thing like that, game, that kind of stuff for a silver sponsor, gold sponsor, platinum sponsor, 100, 300, 500. So what do you guys want to do?
Traditionally, I think we've done $100.
I think that's what we got in the past year. Yep.
Is that a big thing for a city to donate? Is that a?
Just a little something to, I'm fine with $100. We've done it. I think we've done that every year that I've been around.
So now we have post prom committee asking us for donation. So we have
I've done that
for
too.
post prom too.
We've always done that.
And then I'm sure next year we'll have another ask, and then next year we'll have an additional ask, and then it's gonna become a big deal. It just, I'm gonna state the obvious. Because once we become a regular giver of that, and I really don't have a dog in this hunt, but there's a lot of different ways to look at this. These types of letters are intended for
Businesses.
for-profit businesses to help offset costs of nonprofit organizations. We are a nonprofit government organization that isn't necessarily funded for this particular purpose. Yeah, I totally say, I believe in the cause. I think it's wonderful. I think it's great nicety. But we are beholden to all of the taxpayers and how they want to spend money, and we don't know definitively where they want us to donate money. Because our role as a municipality is to handle the infrastructure and the costs of a city. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, hey, we've done this in the past. It's $100. It's not a big deal, but what do we do when we have 8 of these? And then how do we pick and choose? Because we've only had one in the past and now we have 2. So what happens when we have 3? And then we have 4?
I think we had post prom last year.
I think you're right.
But what happens when they're like, well, you did it for PTO, and you did it for post prom? And so I'm not
It's a valid point.
I don't care, but I'm just saying, you also have the option that this is made known. And as elected officials, you guys can choose to donate individually as a group collectively and not use taxpayer dollars if you want to. You could donate a portion of, your wages if you want to. I question whether or not this is the role of a city to do. But it's not my decision, and I'm really okay with whatever you decide. I just want to pose the question because we have two now, but our school is growing.
Well, I do know that those letters that you got, when I was on post-prom committee, we took them to businesses to give donations and either goods or money. And I think we did send one to the city at the time too, but whether or not they donated, I can't tell you that.
And I'm not saying it's good or bad or indifferent that the city does it. I'm just posing the question because we continue to set this precedence. And if we say one, I believe that when we say yes to one, we have to say yes to all. And are we, from a future standpoint, equipped to do that? And is that our role?
That point is very valid. I know church council gets requests from these same organizations, and yes, it does grow. And at one point, there had been conversation about whether or not we were going to do something like where people could special earmark a portion of their offering for post-prom, PTO, Boy Scouts, BAA, all of these different things that were always coming and asking. That never happened.
It's incredibly difficult to coordinate that.
And that's why. But we're gonna have a new building that people can vote with their pocketbook and say, I'm willing to do $2 for PTO, put it on the water bill.
We would have to look at the functionality to see if it's something where it can be an at-will bill or, or if it's something that, we
Just spitballing.
that's a great idea if that functionality exists. But without that functionality, it would be incredibly difficult to coordinate.
And the church had that.
Mhm.
So it didn't happen.
John, do you know if there's other cities that do charitable donations? Just off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, I mean, I don't want you to research it or nothing, I just thought maybe you might have some idea.
And again, this is not a discussion that we don't believe in the cause and we don't think it's a wonderful cause. I'm just asking you guys, is this something we want to do as individuals rather than as the city being responsible as stewards of taxpayer dollars?
If the city of Sioux Falls makes some significant donations to various nonprofits.
But the city of Sioux Falls has significant budgets.
Yeah.
There's been discussions on the finance board about making donations to various things, and it's really across the board. What do you choose? What do you not, like what you said? Some do like we'll give you money for this, but you have to do this.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Well,
Like
a barter.
Yep. Kind of like,
What's the
One-
post-prom committee gonna do for the city?
pick up garbage.
Clean up a park.
Ooh.
I gotta tell you, BAA's been fantastic about cleaning up parks. When I first came in and we had all those storms, the BAA was incredible about just going in and picking up all of the sticks and everything. It was just moving to watch them do that. It was incredible. I'm not trying to cause a problem. I'm not trying to stir anything up. I just wanted, every decision we make has precedence and it has to have a future vision. So I'm just asking the council, what do you want that future vision and what do you want that precedence to be?
Well, I think if somebody wants to donate to either post-prom or the PTO, that's up to them. Individually. Personally, I don't know that it's the city's responsibility to do that.
What if we would agree to have like a donation bucket for people too?
Oh, I love that as an idea.
Yeah, we could do
Instead
that.
of it coming-
I like the idea.
It's really creative.
Yeah.
You get enough traffic in the city office.
You know, some days I talk to these ladies.
Some days.
Well, that's why I read.
We could also like post like, hey, if you've been wanting to donate to either one of these causes, we do have a donation.
You could put that in the.
And you know, that's a really good point, because there's a lot of people that don't have connections to the school, that care about the school and don't know how to do that. It would give them another way to do that. That's a really creative
Maybe end
solution.
up being more than.
Actually,
Yeah.
I get the traffic, like with the food pantry,
Yeah,
man, we got a load of stuff for you guys this week.
yeah.
Good to know, it's open hours tomorrow.
I really like that idea.
I think
there
that
could
would
be
be a
that there
good.
could be a giving bucket for that, and people
I
could
think they get
donate.
more that way.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
I think on a free will, I think they'd get more. I agree.
For you to put a bucket for the PTO and Falls Brown and divvy it out, or what you need?
I think you should do one for each.
Yep.
Like this one's Post Prom, this one's PTO, and now if another organization comes, we can put a bucket up there and say this one's coming this date, and we can put it on the website too, saying, hey, if you're looking to make donations, you know, we're a stop. Because sometimes it's hard to find somebody, you know, or maybe you don't know anybody on the prom committee.
They had that in utility bills.
Put it,
Would you?
put a start date and an end date. So
Would you like to round up your bill?
Bring it in by X, so. For the event.
You know, honestly, I don't find one bit the idea that that's a really creative solution. And it's over time, and we can help promote it too. And maybe generate more income that we would have otherwise.
I think.
Another thing that does is it builds city-school relationships, which could probably use some work.
For those of you who are not aware, there is a senior project going on right now down at the school. A young man is collecting for the Sioux Falls Humane Society, and that is his paper and his project. So if you love puppies or kitties or kiddos, I'm sure you can drop something off at the school for him as well.
What do you guys think? What do you want to do? We have a request here, so I need to read about what to do.
Does that have to be voted on today? Or can we table it?
No, I think we should,
Prom is from April.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a date on this. Oh, PTO is April 12th and April 6th is the post prom. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we probably need to get them an answer
Need to
this month.
decide today then.
Yep, you sure do.
Is that close? I would donate this year, and then in following years, entertain the idea of going to a donation bucket style for a longer stretch. Obviously, you're not gonna get probably a lot on the donation bucket in a less than 1 month span.
No, I agree.
I would make a motion to approve both the PTO and the post prom, $100 donation each. And then revisit, whether in the coming months or during the summer, to rethink the idea of the donation.
PTO. You know,
Really close together.
because this one's dated January 26th.
I think the PTO.
The reason why I'm asking, if they're mailing it towards the end of January, our first meeting would be this meeting. So we would be in this. It would be this meeting to make that decision, unless we created a new thing.
So
And
that,
if we promoted it, we might raise some decent, I mean, that's that's the whole month of March. It's half of February, all of March, and the first week of April. We could probably make some serious cash if we promote it. They'd probably appreciate it.
We can certainly do both. Well, if we want to.
Okay, I don't wanna have an haul or something like this. What do you guys wanna do? I get a motion for one to donate and then think about it next year. What do you guys wanna do?
we ever send a response with the donation from last year or the year before? Like a letter, does a letter accompany the donation check?
Just send a check.
Just send them a check. We send a note with the donation check this year saying we're probably gonna go towards this donation bucket style
Moving forward.
moving forward.
Sure.
Okay,
We can do, you know, what's
Okay.
beautiful is you can do whatever you want.
yeah, I'll second his motion.
You might want to also suggest a date that they have their request to you by. If you're going to,
Sooner than later.
like, requests need to be received by January 1 or something like that.
Okay, so I have a first and a second on making the donation, the cash donation this year. But then responding to them with the idea of, in lieu of doing a flat donation, doing a drop location here at City Hall. Okay, that's what's on the table.
Piggyback both those together, do those need to be separate or is that fine together?
They're separate line items, and so, so we have a motion on the table for PTO to do, the payment for $100. And then follow up with a bucket suggestion follow-up. So I'll take that as a first and second. All those in favor say aye for PTO, because that's what's first on the agenda. Any opposed? Okay, second, we got post prom. Who wants to make that motion?
I'll make that motion again.
Travis is gonna make it.
Second.
Ryan's gonna do it. Same situation, make $100 payment and then suggest a bucket fundraising location in lieu of the school. And in lieu of making annual payments, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, engineering update. I don't know, Justin, what else do you have to say?
I'm gonna start the back and forward. I'm gonna need two motions tonight as well.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, capital improvement plan draft before we talk about that. Parker and I will work on getting that thing prettied up and finalized for next meeting. Main lift station, we're gonna get that permitted through February. Next March, we'll bring those final plans to you guys, make sure we're working through with Brian on those. And tentatively bid those, through March with the word. That comes water main loop in Oak and Ash. We have finalized plans here, looking for council approval plans and to advertise, work through with Ryan, just a few small comments that we're gonna take care of today. Hopefully advertise tomorrow. So just background on the water main looping, that's looping from 4th to 5th and 6th to 7th. That is SRF and ARPA funded, SRF loan, ARPA grant. Estimated construction cost is just over 600,000. Original estimated construction cost was around 800,000. So we're on budget, which is good. Bidding schedule, council approval, plans and specs tonight and approval to go out to bid. We'll have it's approximately 3-week bidding window. March 6th, we'll have a bid opening, and then the March 12th council meeting will come to you guys with the bids. Oak and Ash improvements, again, that's sanitary water main improvements along Second, Ash, Oak. Second Street from Ash to Elm, Oak, Second to Third, Ash, Second to Third, and part of Third Street down to Lovely. Again, that is SRF loan, ARPA grant. Same schedule, estimated construction cost is about $1.3 million. Original estimated was 1.4, so we're looking like we'll be within budget on both of those. Hopefully, part of getting it bid out right now. There's a lot of contractor availability. What I've been seeing for bids has been very favorable, so it'll be good to get them out right now.
So what do you need from us to?
We need a motion for both of those. Approval of plans and specs and to advertise for bid for the water main looping project, and then same motion for Oak and Ash utility improvements.
Does it have to be, does this have to go through P and Z at all? Or it doesn't have to, okay.
Mr. Fox is our authorized official. Have you sufficiently reviewed the plans?
Yes.
You good with them? Okay. There, that's been done. Anything else, Mr. Sinking?
Sorry. No.
Like subdivision plans, new subdivision plans, this is part of the planning and zoning process. That's where it goes through planning and zoning first. Gets approved and then goes to you guys. These with public improvements, just go straight to you guys.
Okay.
Good question, though. Good question.
And the only thing that would be different from like on these plans that I've been talking about for 2 years is for the Oak and Ash project is where we added going down Third Street and crossing Lovely to tie it in there. So then we can remove then the main will be vacated. That's going through the old trailer court. And then the other thing we just talked about tonight is going with water main if funds are available. Down Second and tying into Elm Avenue there. So then that's a whole big loop through that way. So
So
that's,
I'm sorry.
no,
So your 1.3 million, was that for both of them?
1.3 was for Oak and Ash, and then it's a little over 600,000.
Okay. Okay, I must have
Under
missed,
what we budgeted for. so far.
So for playing round numbers, call it $2 million.
Okay. Okay,
So I got a question. If it comes in under budget, does that mean that adjusts off of our?
Yeah,
payment?
well, yep, we'll work with SRF because the great thing is we got a grant, ARPA grant.
So we don't
We'll
use
use
grant.
all of that.
Okay, okay,
And then we'll reduce our loan amount.
which might help with sidewalks. Potentially, or is it more streets?
So
It goes sort
I
of.
don't know different, yeah.
Yeah,
goes
so
towards-
that loan amount.
So it goes
is-
to water.
Yeah,
is- Yeah.
sorry,
just
my bad,
Based
my
off the
bad.
water bill.
And water.
I misspoke
So you need a motion and approval for both
separately.
separately. Make the motion to approve Ash and Oak to commence.
Second.
Okay, we got a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Make the motion to approve the water looping.
All those in favor say aye.
look at you two go.
Oh, I'm sorry, any opposed on
No,
the first one, any opposed on the second one? Okay, both motion passes, sorry, my bad. I was making notes.
It's almost 9:30, so.
Okay, well, what else?
Regarding the advertising on that, do I just, you just want me to put it in the Del Rapids Journal, because that's where all of our stuff is, or?
So,
Probably Justin.
yep, you just put it in Dell's and then we'll post online and into, align plan holders and we'll reach out to contractors as well. So state statute and post in newspaper twice. Get that taken care of.
Okay,
We'll take
they
care
need
of
to
it.
use newspapers, I don't know if I needed to put it like in the Argus Leader, nope, okay, all right.
Newspaper, record.
Yep.
Good question. Okay, so we got that done. What else do you need?
That's all I got. Unless you guys have any questions.
Okay, engineering report, maintenance update.
Thank you.
Not much.
You're done now after campground. You're good to go.
Oh, I saw 2 girls use the ice skating rink before it melted.
Well, it wasn't around.
Did you get some video?
When you were watching.
No, actually had to come lift a pump out of the lift station when I was driving through to go to Dell's. I was like, and we just added water to it, so I was like, ooh, it might be a little slushy, but they said it was a little.
They did cut through the Bible.
No, because they were fine on that.
All right, this is what you're gonna start with.
All right.
You're gonna start working, no, you're gonna start working on refrigeration system to keep it ice.
Not
That's a
a bonus splash part.
That's for the last for next.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do that.
Okay, city hall update, anything else from city hall? You guys have a lot of contributions? No. Okay, how about, Mr. Hughes? Any updates?
I will, surrender back my time.
Okay. Taking all night for that, would you? Okay, council, any updates that we need to be aware of? Got it. You create something?
Forget.
Okay, you do have a meeting coming up. I'll see which meeting it is. I think it's a,
It's district meeting.
okay,
It's-
District 3 meeting, yeah, that one, I would highly recommend that you go to the District 3 meeting, that's on April 2nd in Harrisburg. But
What is that?
maybe I looked at the wrong. sheet.
Why don't you send an email out on that because we got invites on it.
What is it?
It's the district. So you have the state of South Dakota and then they break the municipalities into districts. Our district is gonna be Harrisburg. You're right about that, Lacey. I don't know the date behind it.
Yep, May 9th is a council meeting, and that's also election day.
Oh, that's what it was. You're
We
right.
need to change that.
I thought April. Oh.
April 9th, I'm sorry, see, both.
Okay, yeah. So this, because
Had to say
it's
something.
always planned on the second Tuesday,
Yep,
then, what I would say is our April meeting probably should just be Wednesday. So it's just the next day. We can handle it.
People complain about Wednesday. Generally, we've always done it on the following Tuesday.
We can do that too. Whatever.
In years past, we've always
Well,
done.
that's, isn't it?
Well, it's gotta be X amount. of
Is it
days
during-
after.
Yeah, just get some rules, you gotta-
Within-
when is, I don't know when Easter is.
we can decide next month if we want to at that meeting.
It's not.
Get it over with.
Well, just move it to Tuesday
The following is the 16th.
The following Tuesday.
at 6 or 7.
Oh,
You would probably wanna do it at 6 if you gotta canvass the election.
yes, because that's fun.
All right.
April 16th, 6 P.M.
Oh, good, I'll be on time this time.
Right down.
I was here at
I
5:30.
won't be on time, right?
Brian, do you want me to call Roland?
Yes, yes, all my.
Okay, any other updates? Good call. Any other updates? Any updates? So Dog Days is gonna be the second weekend in August. Driveway Carnival is gonna be second weekend in June.
Yep.
We are still trying to decide if we want to do the cook-off. There are gentlemen in this town that want to have a barbecue cook-off as a community event.
Tell them to come to city or coffee with council, we'll talk about it.
Good idea. I'll
So, I mean, we have several guys that are like, yes, we want to do it.
Not McGreevy.
No, no,
Where would we do it at?
Heights,
Well, it's-
Heights.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
Shelters, yep.
I already reached out to the one guy who's gonna get back to us. I just want to give you a heads up. We're working out details on that, to see if we can pull it off, but it should be a barbecue cook-off. And then we'll figure out the details from there. So just, so you know, we're thinking July. July, makes sense. And then August is Dog Days, so June, you got Driveway Carnival, cook-offs in July. Maybe we want to do it another weekend of the 4th of July, since a lot of people are gone. The 4th of July, so,
You're
okay,
gonna fight
anyway.
every weekend in July, just with hometown days and stuff like that. I think you just get to set a day.
I agree with you 100%. Yep, 100%, just do it and be done with it. We also have to set it soon, because people are gonna be set up for stuff. Okay. Gosh, I think that's it. We made it through another night, guys. So with nothing less left on the agenda, what time is it now?
It is 9:24.
9:24. That's all.
Make a motion to adjourn at 9:25.
What?
There first.
Just.
Second.
Your
Bye.
second, all those in favor say aye.
It just turned.
It just turned to 10.
I feel like
you want to
just-
close? Okay. Good night, Baltic.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Bryce.
Thank you, Bryce.
See you tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that.
Lucky guy.
I heard you heard.